Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Heathen Drive-By. Tonight, I'm going to have dear Mr. Atheist on. He has a YouTube channel and he has great content. I'll have a link in the description after the show's over, but I asked him to come and be a guest, and we're just going to talk about, well, whatever. And how are you today, Mr. Atheist?
Dude, I'm doing fine. How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
Good. Yeah. I'm excited to get going. We'll see if we get some. Do you have live chat enabled for this thing? Because I don't see it on the stream I'm watching.
It should be. Let's see.
Okay. I don't know how to do it on iPad. That's the thing I was watching it on.
There should be like a little thing on the side or whatever. There's a little column on the side that you can, right where you're, you have it small, and there's a little column on, the small view of it. Then there should be, I got to look at my iPad now. There's something that says live chat on your column or whatever, in this column that's next to it. And if you press,
I found it. Hello. Right. And there's somebody in the chat and everything. Awesome. Hello.
And I can't find it myself, so.
Hello, whoever you are. So at the very top, it had at the bottom, I think it had a thing that was like top chat or live chat, and I hit that, and that got rid of all the videos.
Yeah.
But luckily, I have it up.
They is in there. Hi, they. How you doing?
They.
He's got a good channel too, by the way.
I think I saw something of his earlier today. The hard part is, and this keeps happening to me, where someone will be like, "Hey, did you see such video?" And I'm like, "Probably." Maybe. I'm getting into the YouTube community, and thanks to like Shannon and other friends, I'm meeting all of these people now. And so I'm trying to catch up on all this content that I didn't even knew existed until like very recently.
Yeah. So, well, when I came out, what were we were both at 333 subscribers each, and I said,
"Oh yeah,
this is a match made in hell."
That was you. Yeah. We combined for 666 total subs together.
Together we made 666.
Yeah, man. And so anyway, so I've been seeing other people's stuff, but first of all, I watch everything at double speed. So if you expect me to remember by your voice, like your voice is different from double speed, but I listen to most stuff because usually I'm editing or I'm working or in this little station behind me. My monitor's a little itchy right now. Let me really get into my anyway. So yeah, so I'm positive I saw something with they. Maybe it was a comment back and forth. It might have been a thing, but I've had so much stuff on today that I can't remember exactly what it was. I just remember the name they being an interesting name to have.
Yeah, it is. He does science, pseudoscience debunking and stuff. And
okay.
Let me give a shout out to Brian Stevens out there. How you doing, Brian? Good to see you, man.
What's up, Brian Stevens? Yeah. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and whatever you want to get started talking about, I'm gonna quick post a link to this on my Facebook as well.
I know I'm trying to remember what we had a couple topics that we were kind of thinking about too, or whatever. And I think it was to do with AI, wasn't it?
I don't know if that was me. I have definitely plenty to say about.
Yeah. What do you think we're going to like if you're a lawyer now, do you think that they're in danger of losing their jobs from AI soon?
Soon, I don't know. So here's what I'm going to say, and I'm basically going to just parrot exactly what Elon Musk said. I don't think there is anything. I think he used the phrase "bar none." I don't think there is anything that AI won't be better than us in just a decade or two. And I want people to understand I'm a digital artist for a living. And I still think they will be better artists. And people have always pushed back, no, because that's not art. That's not. And so you have to go with whatever your definition of art is. I'm talking about as far as presenting to be a professional artist, you have to sell art. And the best art for consumers will be what AI produces. I don't think there is literally anything AI won't be better at doing than us.
Speaking of art too, that kind of reminds me of what's that some principle with the uniformity principle, the Ferraducci principle. I can't remember it right off the top of my head. But it's a sequence of number patterns or whatever that they use in some artworks or whatever. That's and this is a pseudoscience thing that somebody was talking to me about, and I'm gonna look at the video one of these days. But but they're trying to correlate that to intelligent design. Is basically what they're doing that. It's like, oh, it's numbers, dude. You know.
So I don't know if you watch Talk Heathen, but they had this caller who would call in named Victor, and Victor's proof of intelligent design was that DNA is a code and code has to be written. But it's like, no, DNA is a code as much as putting 2 rocks on the ground next to each other, and then 3 rocks on the ground next to each other, and then 1 rock on the ground next to each other. As we identify that as 2, 3, 1, that is how much a code it is. So 2, 3, 1 in that situation, in that sequence, those rocks don't have to have been placed in that sequence. Just because we can identify something, that's ridiculous. Wonder Lady, hello. Who are you, and who do you know Brian Stevens? It looks like he might even be a mod or something.
Brian, I know him.
Yeah. He's got a little wrench next to his name. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. I give a lot of people that are my friends wrenches.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, Brian. So Brian wrote, it already be, you know what? I'm going to start reading. I'm going to read the comments if you don't mind.
Go right ahead. Be my guest, my friend.
I'm going to use my Stewie Griffin voice to do so. It already beats us in everything but emotional empathy. Yeah. So I got in a little bit of a debate. We agreed on more than we disagreed, but with a guy who was a mechanic, and he was saying, like, you know, there are things that I can just hear a car do, and then I automatically know what's wrong with the car. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. And I get that maybe humans will always be better at identifying something obscure based on a sound because of their experience. But AI isn't limited to ears. Like, I don't care if that's how you can diagnose it. Remember, these are AI machines that potentially could just walk in, do an instant MRI of the whole thing, and then show you a 3D diagram of the inside where this rock needs to be broken apart. And then they just use some sounds to make it all fall apart. Oh, let's see some of these guys. Hi, all. Hello, all. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Clade. Hello, Casey Atheists. I don't know what you're apologizing for. Another wrench. Hey, Peter and Stony. Anybody with a question though?
Doesn't look like any yet.
I'll give a Stewie Griffin out. Casey Atheist. I don't know where I know him from. I've seen him in comments on something else. So
he's around a lot of videos that he comments.
Like I said, so to people who are just joining, I'm trying to get caught up on all of this community. It's so much to get caught up with all at once. I'm doing my best. I will get there. But yeah, man, it's so much to. So I'm watching.
I've been inundated myself, and it's
yeah. And I'm excited to I've got my own project, Sunday Mass, coming up. My normal show is Dear Mr. Atheist, that comes out on Thursdays. Recently been doing some Mormon episodes that are really fun. This Thursday's episode's on Pascal's Wager. What'd you say?
Magic underwear.
Magic underwear. Yeah. Sure.
Where do you get a pair of those? I want to
know. So people have been ordering them from some third-party site that I think is just like ex-Mormons who are mad who will like let you buy theirs. I don't know exactly how it. So Eric Murphy from Talk Heathen, I know he. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but he ordered a pair. So, however, if you're actually Mormon, you actually have to you either order them through your bishop. Or I think you can get them directly at the temple, perhaps. I know you can get garments from like temple bookstores. Like in Salt Lake City, you can just go to that bookstore that under the giant building. Let's see. Hi, hello, human. Facebook's algorithm makes me think. I'm going to do my comment reading because this one's got some. Facebook's algorithm made me think AI will never become that good. No, I see what you mean, man. But keep in mind, like AI, for example, has already learned everything the humanity has ever in the last several thousand years known about chess. This point was made recently by, I want to say, Matt Dillahunty, and it learned it in a couple of hours. All it was told was the basic rules of chess, as in this piece moves here and the person wins when, and it was able to learn everything. So I get the Facebook algorithms rather. I mentioned earlier, I'm a digital artist and I use Facebook to advertise. And trust me, the algorithm, fuck, man. Are we allowed to swear on here? I should have asked that.
No, go ahead.
Okay, good. Fuck yeah. Edgy emo atheist. Hi, I'm new to the community. I have videos. I'll check you out later, Edgy.
She's a couple videos right now. I haven't watched the second one, I don't think, but
yeah. I'll let me. Fuck, I cleaned up because I don't usually shoot against this, but I'm going to be starting soon. And so my notebooks and pens aren't everywhere. Edgy emo atheist. Would you mind, because I don't have the stuff near me? Shoot me an email at dearmratheist@gmail.com and I'll go and look at your stuff. And if you want to do something together at some point, I'm down to collab with everybody.
You want to send you a link?
Yeah, you can too. Yeah, if you want to shoot it to me, that's fine. I forget you're not on camera, so.
Oh no.
So you can step off and no one notices.
I'm here. I'll be here.
Cool.
I can go on camera if you want me to.
Oh, dude, that's up to you, man.
No, just kidding.
Anybody who's coming from my end who's watching right now is probably like, why isn't he wearing his glasses? He's way more handsome with his glasses. And I didn't do anything to my hair. I just let it dry naturally. I usually go hard metrosexual before shooting. Have a link at Mr. Atheist. Oh yeah, Johnny, can you throw my the link to my channel? It's shit, what is it? It's youtube.com/c/Dear Mr. Atheist, I think.
Yeah, give me a second here.
.com/c/Mr. Atheist Show, no period. youtube.com/c/Mr. Atheist Show. Yeah, and thank you all for. My understanding is now if you type in Mr. Atheist, it's no longer. I'm pretty sure my channel comes out above the Josh Feuerstein video.
You're up in the list a little higher in it or whatever, or no?
Yeah. Wait, say that again. Yeah.
You're up in the list a little higher on the algorithm, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, before when you typed Mr. Atheist or Dear Mr. Atheist, and you still see him in the list, but it was all Josh Feuerstein's videos because that took off.
That's right. Oh man, hey, every time I hear his name,
gonna go for it. My Twitter is at Dear Mr. Atheist. I'm just getting into it and I'm getting better. I'm just not great yet. From beating it on a desk.
Yeah, sorry guys. The other stream got screwed up or a little bit or whatever, and so I had to make a new one. So I don't have all that information in the description right now. I'll have it in when I get done with the show, though.
Who's going to tell AG? Reading videos is a drag. I don't know what that means. Does anybody have any questions? I think somebody asked earlier what the oh man, come on, Cloud, whatever your name is. I use Facebook. I'm an old man. Let's see. Someone I think asked for what the meaning of life was earlier, and I think I missed it, and I'm remembering it's somewhere up there. That's entirely self-defined, and it's up to you. Your meaning is your own, and you can find collective meanings with other people. Just I wouldn't advise doing so through religion. How many people use Facebook anyway? 3. Searching for an AI article I read a day or so ago. So he's lagging off. If you're offended, that means it's not working. Where is AI at regarding original creative music? So here's something I want to posit to people. As AI gets better, so does medical technology, and so does our understanding of the human brain. And we're supposed to, within the next decade to, I think it's decade and a half, it's like in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll have a complete map completed of the human brain and what every part does. And once we can do that, we can also start simulating brains. So just imagine, this is just a hypothetical. I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow. I just don't see why this wouldn't happen eventually, unless you think computers just won't be able to emulate the human brain. But just imagine, so for music, you could take my brain and make a copy of it, and in the course of 5 seconds, you could play 5 million different randomly made songs. And actually, I mean, 5 million wouldn't be enough, where it's just random tones and maybe random tones in a word in a row. And you could see which one makes my brain light up the most, which one gets me. There's a song that recently came out that's like, I'm a living legend. And it gets me pumped up every time I hear it. and you could see which ones my brain reacts to the most in this simulation. So these are just one of the ways AI could be a better artist, because it will be able to tell what one or many brains reacts to better, even if it's creating things from scratch. You could just teach it basic things like, these are what chords are. This is how you transition between keys if you're going to transition. These are what have been popular in the past, but then it could try new things. And you could do that millions and millions and millions of times in a few seconds.
Yep.
And create. So that's why I think AI will be better at creating original creative music. That was mediocre.
It's getting there already. I mean, if you ask me.
Yeah. Casey Atheist. Yeah, that should be my channel. By the way. What'd you say?
I put a link to your channel in the comments just now.
These are new monitors, and they are making my ears itch like crazy. I'm gonna have to get like some foam covers or something.
It's hard to find a good one. Hi, Melody.
What's up? What's up, sheeple? Another freaking atheist said. I don't know if he's being ironic or it's a fake atheist. Draw. Whoop! Thank you. Gonna go for it. 445. Edgy. Hi. Another. Let's see.
Oh, there we go. Finally made it back.
Thank you. Is it Clade or Cloud? Do you know, Johnny?
Clade Starfish.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, Jimmy is my name. You can call me Jimmy. That's fine.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So I was too sick last Thursday to have an episode. I had bronchitis. And the Talk Heathen guys made an episode for me, and then like halfway in, or not even, just a couple minutes in, Eric Murphy.
Those episodes that you were doing on Talk Heathen, that was really good.
Yeah. And Eric Murphy's like, oh crap, have I been saying his real name? And they hadn't. And they're like, so Mr. Atheist. And so I put like text on the bottom that was just flashing like, spoiler alert, my name's Jimmy.
Say, I have a question. Didn't Jamie get elected president of the?
Yeah. Jamie's now. Vern and Chelsea, which if you're familiar with like the mods and stuff, they're on the board now. The board changed a lot, but those are the two that I knew well enough. And to anybody who's a fan of the ACA's content, I am the host of a new show for the atheist community of Austin that will launch at some point in the next month called The Atheist Interviews. We may have lined up our first interview, which I'm very excited for today, but I'm not going to announce it until that person has said for sure yes, and we have it scheduled and stuff. So that's just another bit of what I'm up to. What'd you say?
You can tell me later.
Yeah. I'll let you know on the side who we approach to be the first one. Mr. Jimmy Atheist. Hi, Edgy Emo Atheist. I'm sorry if you guys can hear cars in the background. It's really hot in Denver today, so I have windows open.
Bike drive by here too, a big biker.
Oh, that might have been your end then. I hear my own audio as well, so I don't know which.
That's right. You got headphones on, so
yeah. Whose background is who? Thank you, another freaking atheist. Does anybody have any questions? We're just going to keep talking about AI, I guess, until something comes up. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, man? You're an engineer, aren't you?
Me? No, I just work in construction.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one. Like AI, do you feel like it's coming for you?
For construction? I mean, maybe, but I can see that way in the future because there are some things that I don't know. Yeah, I can see it.
Right.
I'm not thinking out of the box when I think about it, but yeah, it can replace you, and it depends on building houses would become a different thing. It could be
right.
It'll
be
kind of machine or whatever. Boom, boom.
Right. And I think yeah, it'll take longer before it can fix like any house, like any old house that already exists, but 3D printed homes and things of that nature, once AI is building it their own way, they're going to be able to repair those easily enough. Gonna go for it. It's called The Atheist Interviews. If you want, the channel is built kind of. We're working on everything. I think I put a link to it in the most recent video with Eric and the Talk Heathen guys doing my show from last Thursday. So if you want to go and find the link now, otherwise it'll be out on Twitter for sure too.
Okay. I'll take a look at it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Clade or not Clade. Somebody asked what the new show is going to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, no, Clade, I'm actually not in Texas. The plan is to get me to Texas. I'm in Denver. I will be probably only spending like half the year there, though. I don't think it'll be like a permanent move. I'm thinking do the warmer months in Denver, do
Hey,
the hot months in Texas.
well, Denver has to be great though.
I love Denver, man.
I got some friends that live out in Vail, and we stop by there whenever I'm going to LA. So
Nice. I've lived all over the place, and Denver I think is the greatest place in America.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it here, man. Mr. Jimmy Atheist, why do you talk to the redneck Johnny? I'm an equal opportunity redneck talker. No, I like Johnny. Johnny's been really, really nice to me, and nothing but great since we've met so far.
Hey, we're connected eternally in hell. So
Edgy emo atheist asks what my musical taste is. Edgy, I'm going to tell you, I at heart am a 17-year-old lesbian woman. I love everything they love. My favorite artists are Panic at the Disco. I love Fall Out Boy. I love Melanie Martinez. I love Halsey. I could go on. My music taste is not the lumberjack look that I have.
you just need to have plaid on now.
Brian, I wouldn't say always. So Brian says, and I'm going to do my Stewie accent for every comment. Brian says, AI will be prevalent in industrial, but residential always going to have the contractor. I'm going to say you will have to have the contractor for longer, but I'm not going to put always on anything. Again, thinking about the ears from earlier. Why an AI wouldn't be able to be taught every way a house is built, the composition of everything, and be able to basically do a scan of the house eventually? I don't know.
It's hard to imagine because it all hasn't been invented yet, and you
Right.
gotta really think outside of the box because I can see AI. It depends upon if we survive.
Right. Yeah. There is that. That's Elon's concern too.
That's my concern.
What edgy emo atheist. I'm not sure why you're screaming. Not that AI shouldn't do, but the human factor is important. People when home is involved. Yeah, I get that argument. I don't think that's forever though, man. Like I think that getting your cars automated, and I think the more that gets replaced, the less we will care. And to some degree, like look at us. We're going to be the generation that sees certain things be destroyed by AI, like drunk driving deaths, because at some point in our lifetime, most likely, for some of us, I don't know how old everybody is, but in our lifetime, we will see no more human-driven cars on the road. And so people are going to realize that there's a lot of reasons to go with robots over humans. And so that human thing that makes you feel more safe, that whole paradigm is going to change, I think. What do you think, Johnny?
Sorry,
Johnny's smoking weed, guys. We got to take a break while Johnny's
in Denver. I could. Oh, in LA, I could too. I guess.
Smoke weed every spooky bad hair, my friend. How are you?
I had to switch something around here, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. Things people that think they're safe are people that are in the academic kind of fields or whatever. But those are jobs that are going to be in danger too. I mean,
well, and then a broader question is, what do we do about it? There is no job we won't give to the robots, which means money and income are going to become outdated. And I know Republicans aren't going to like to hear this.
No, they're not going to like that. Oligarchs won't like it.
Yeah. It's going to come to a point where everything's done so efficiently and easily by everything else. The only practical application would be if you want something, you just get it. And so the fact that we're not experimenting with things like universal basic income and stuff means that we're gonna be behind. And I'm not saying that I want to abandon capitalism or any of those things. I'm not a communist, but we need to be trying to figure out how to amend for the future, because capitalism, while not now outdated, will be outdated when there is no jobs for anybody.
Yeah, if everything's going to be automated, what jobs are there? I mean, you're going to have to figure out how to feed people one way or another. I mean, that's an issue that we're going to have to face sooner or later.
Yeah. Mediocrity. So that was actually kind of the point I made about with it being, you're right, music taste is subjective, but the whole point is if it can simulate and play against your simulated brain, it can find your taste. So literally every person on the world could have a playlist that they have no songs in common, just made for them. That was earlier. And so maybe I don't want to rehash the exact same thing and bore anybody who didn't see that part or already saw that part. Clay, sorry, go ahead.
It is fascinating to think of where that technology will go after it does go surpass us in intelligence. I mean,
look, I don't even think that. So people, I'm not trying to come off as if people really want to get into it, I think there is a heavy possibility, a large possibility that in the next century or two, humans will largely leave the material plane, so to speak, and upload their brains to computers that can simulate.
And there's the question too: is your conscience actually going to be in there then?
Yeah. Why? I guess my thing is, why wouldn't it be? The hard part is, so in the human brain, almost every one of the cells in your brain over the course of a decade is replaced. However, your neurons aren't. Your neurons are there forever. Mm-hmm. So unless consciousness exists in the neurons, which I don't think it does, but I guess it could. Unless consciousness exists in the neurons, your body already has a natural process by which every cell is replaced. So if you just replace those biological cells with some sort of robotic cells, but it performs the same function, unless you think you literally died at some point in the last decade to be here now, which some people do, but you just have all of your memories intact, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that same consciousness processing transfer with non-biological cells.
It's hard to imagine because you wouldn't really need arms and legs. You just have to be part of the machine, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
My ears with this thing.
It's beyond my knowledge, or my perception, I should say.
Right. I try to learn as much as I can. Bio is my first passion, and then the AI stuff.
Okay.
You can read lots and lots of things, but it's a matter of there's no one person who's an expert all around, because it is a collaboration of biology, computer technology, and many other subcategories of that, things that each individual thing you have to have lots of experts in.
Oh yeah.
But its potential just seems unlimited to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
How do you see reduced work week versus companies making higher profits? I'm pretty liberal. I don't know about, I assume you mean like with salaried jobs. Should you be getting your salary against an expectation that you work 40 hours a week? Because as far as paying hourly goes, okay, here's my thing. I like those companies that do profit sharing. I think there are lots of ways to fix income inequality. I don't know all of them now, and I couldn't just list them. I do think it is an obscenity, the amount of money that some people make, that you can actually make so much money it becomes obscene, because there are individuals who have larger incomes than entire countries do. So I don't know how to fix everything. It is clearly to both sides, whether or not you agree on the approach or who to blame. Clearly, to the right and left, income inequality is one of the worst problems of modern society, or that modern society is facing. But we could do the whole however long we're going to do this on me just going, here's one way we could fix it, and here's another. But
economics is kind of a social science.
Yeah, and it's just, truly though, there are obscenities too. It is offensive how much the richest people make, and the fact there are people who starve and die. Less in the United States, but that poverty exists at all when there are individuals who could pay off much of the could pay for much of people. I don't know. It's just I think that is we have a moral obligation to try and fix that one day. People will go, well, you're not going to come and steal my money. But again, at a certain point, when a dollar amount becomes so obscene, we have to ask ourselves, are you always entitled to it? And what can you just do in the name of taxes? Because we all pay taxes. Some people think taxation is theft, but most people don't. So I don't know. It's such a complex problem.
Yeah, the commons are there. No matter how you look at it, we gotta look out for each other. I'm kind of a, what do you call it? More of a socialist on that side. You got to take care of each other, because otherwise, it comes back to haunt you if you have poor people. Let's put it that way. So
a lot of people will be like, well, America, point to any good socialist country where things have worked out. Okay, the United States. Because the best times, every time capitalism was really fucking over some group, we used socialism of some kind to create what we could in inequality.
Yeah.
With things like Social Security, Medicare, those sorts of things. So it's not as though point me to a only capitalist society that has worked out. They don't exist.
And tyranny then.
Yeah, and then it's a quick slip to fascism.
Exactly.
There will not be enough jobs. Yeah, no, I agree, Clay. Not enough jobs in 50 years. Capitalists wouldn't like it. Yep, you're distribution of wealth. So one thing that was interesting that they did on, what's that new show with Seth MacFarlane? And it's basically a Star Trek parody. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't watch TV anymore.
Oh, it's called The Orville. And they have this matter transmutation device. And basically it can just create anything. You program in what you want. It can be anything from a t-shirt to a pizza to whatever. And it can create anything. And they said that, and the whole premise is that after that became a thing, income didn't matter anymore. They just dropped income, but people still kept doing their jobs because of the feelings of purpose and making things go on. And obviously that's not something that really happened. It's a dream, but it was an interesting take on things. Capitalism only works when the cap is applied to capital. LOL. I meant to be reading these in Stewie voice. Our current economic model based on growth, that will change. Base income, same across the board, is the only way to make capitalism balanced. And actually, there's arguments, both right and left-wing arguments for universal base income. I think it could easily figure out a formula for original pop music, but not much else, of course, in the future. No. Yeah, so mediocrity. I'm thinking of, so I'm also a pianist, and I'm thinking even of great ballads and great. I agree that it might take longer to get more complex music, but I don't think it takes much longer, especially with the model I gave, with the artificial brain that's emulated. Then everything gets almost like too easy, because how long would it take to run that simulation 50 billion times? Even if it's a couple of days, whatever. A billion, a small number to a computer.
It is. It's amazing. It's beyond comprehension, because our minds can't. Well, maybe they can, but not in my lifetime. It won't be able to. Not my brain.
Hey, so another freaking atheist. Just so you know, I also changed my name when I became, not when I became a YouTuber, but when I became an atheist. I changed my actual name for a lot more reasons, but my entire identity basically changed. And I had gone through an identity crisis. I used to be a not very good person. And it helped me to create, on the other side of this, a new identity that I could then go, is this more of a Jimmy choice, Jimmy being the name I go by now, or an X choice? I'm not going to give my old name because I don't want people to try and dox me with it. But just a little interesting fun fact, since you guys were talking about name changes. Thanks for the follow. Cool.
They'll have to beat it out of me to get my real name.
Yeah, man. Same. Oh, and even on, I don't put my last name on most stuff. I mean, it's I have a last name, which is Snow, that I go by.
Yeah, my name's kind of a brand, I guess. So
yeah. Nice. Go, Johnny. All right. Do you think there will still be YECs when we upload all the mind. What is a YEC? Is that
Young Earth
something?
creationist.
Oh, I don't use the short term. Um, no, because I think if we got that advanced, I think that young Earth creationists will have mostly either killed themselves, died off, or so here's something that I think is interesting. In a short amount of time, all the technology will exist to stage a perfectly realistic rapture and or second coming with just technology, not an actual thing happening.
Uh-huh.
And I hope that doesn't occur to anybody who has access to be able to pull that off, because if that does happen, I think you're going to see a mass suicide from people trying to get all excited by the rapture or feeling. I don't know. There's ways you could do it to other religions too, but young Earth creationists.
Yeah, I'm sure you're used to them.
For sure. Once we know the optimal way a brain is meant to operate, one wonders if, as we start replacing parts of our brains with machines, which will certainly happen whether or not we fully upload, if we'll still keep parts of our brain that are. So, for example, take a conspiracy theorist, for example. Conspiracy theorists are people that, in the interest of appearing skeptical, will believe basically anything as long as it's not a mainstream belief.
I got a friend just like that.
Yeah, and that's not a good function of the brain.
No.
So if you take out just the conspiracy theorist part of the brain, I'm not sure religion is even left.
Yeah, probably not. No, because it is the same mindset. I mean, I see it almost every day from my friend. It's wow, and I just I've tried. He's a good friend and he's harmless and he's a pretty decent guy, but just keeps on trying to come up with these different. He correlates things and. What is it? A post hoc ergo proctor hop. He's lost in that confusion somehow.
Another freaking atheist. I think you might have meant, you wrote, Mr. Atheist. I think you and I have a very similar look of wealth, but I think you may have meant view of wealth. Because look, it sounds like you think I look like a rich person, and I don't feel that way. Taxes help everyone. Yep, sure they do. Hey, no, that's not for me. Did you have anything you wanted to ask me, Johnny? While I'm trying to find more.
Are you doing any more Talk Heathen episodes?
So when I make it to Texas, I almost certainly will appear occasionally as a guest host whenever they're ducked out, or maybe do as a third. Okay. I think the Talk Heathen guys and I are both extremely. Eric and Jamie are as good as friends as I have. Okay. And we're both interested in the success of each other. So any way we can lend a hand to each other in both directions. So that would be true if I blew up and I had 1 million subs, and I'd still go on that show. Or if I'm smaller than them at that time, it would be more of a favor to me than them. But in every direction, we're looking to help each other out. They're going to be launching their own other projects outside of Talk Heathen too, and I'm going to do my best to help those succeed as well.
Yeah, I mean, community that I'm in here, we're all basically helping each other out, and it's I'm kind of like I've been an atheist my whole life, but I never was really outspoken or active until about 2 years ago, and I didn't really find much of a community until about 2 months ago, and then well, here we are right now.
Johnny's cousin doxed gonna go for it. I did
a fake doxing on gonna go for it. I wanted my videos.
They says I see, so we rapture and then insert them into the matrix. I'm very opposed to anything involuntary, and I include things like scams and charlatan behavior, like when you trick someone into thinking that something is for their best interest, even if you know it is. I do believe in personal choice, or at least personal choice in as much as it appears we may have free will. However, one could make the argument that we don't. Suicide makes me sad. Me too.
Check your DMs.
How are atheists perceived in Denver? Do you get a lot of backlash that Southerners get? In Denver, no. I went to high school. I'm not going to give cities. I shouldn't be doing that either. I went to high school in Wyoming, and I wasn't an atheist, but I knew at the time, I knew what we thought of atheists. Atheists definitely were like the weird kids. Now, I got a little bit of the separation because being Mormon wasn't a big deal there. There were lots of Mormons and people thought it was silly, but I, as hasn't gone completely away, I'm somewhat feminine in the way I talk and was much more then. I use a lot of hand gestures. So I got a lot of country boys would chew in calling me a faggot and things of that nature. At the time, I believed I was completely straight. Now I would put myself at the 75% straight, not totally, but at the time I thought I was straight. And so it was difficult. That's a can of worms that.
Would you mind if Peter joined in on with us here? He's gonna go for it.
Yeah, I don't know who Peter is, but yeah,
he's gonna go for it. All right.
Oh yeah, gonna go for it. Yeah, sure, man. I'm pretty kitty. Mr. Shadow Kitty's here. Where's Mr. Shadow Kitty? Say something. I'm giving up on you. I don't see any comments from him, but people are tagging him like he's here. Oh wait, there he is. Hey everybody, did I miss anything? No, you didn't miss anything. I mentioned that I'm not fully straight. We talked about AI. I doxed myself. Talked about being a filthy communist. I agree on Holy Mall. The community has been amazing so far. I put a lot of work into making sure that the production value on my channel appears to be pretty good, and that has been embraced really well. And so that,
you're doing great stuff.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's felt really good. The response I've gotten so far has been really nice.
Yeah, really good stuff. Nice and professional quality. I mean, I'm a little bit rougher on the edges, so but I'm not that way. I'm too old to change.
So Brian says we have free will because the universe has no give a shit to stop our will. I think he's saying doesn't give a shit to stop it. So Brian, in regards to whether or not we have free will, my thought process is, this is how I ask people whether or not they think free will exists. If you were to recreate the first 5 seconds of the Big Bang in another location, I understand that that doesn't make sense with time and space, the Big Bang. But if you went to another space that a universe could be created similarly, or just say our universe goes out of existence. If you did the next universe with the exact same 5 seconds, and then you moved forward, how long has the universe been around? Like 14 trillion years? 11 trillion? What is it? How old is it?
14. I think it's 14. Yeah, 14
billion. 14 billion.
14 billion.
Okay, cool. That's what. Yeah. That was my first guess. Now I'm overcompensating. That's what I thought it was. And it's 13.8. You fools. Anyway, 13.8 billion. I said trillion though, so that was wrong. 13.8 billion years. I must have been thinking about Scientology with my trillions. So if you were to do the same first 5 seconds, then you move to 13.8 billion years ahead to the exact moment that is now in relation to the start, would anything be any different? I suspect not. I think that everything would be, you would have, if the same first 5 seconds were exactly the same, it would be myself, Johnny, DriveBye, and now, is it Peter?
Yeah, it's Peter.
In a Google Hangouts talking about God not existing. So that is what I mean by when I say I'm not certain we have free will.
I do it exactly the same.
As though you had a choice.
Exactly.
That was Christopher Hitchens. His thing was always when they asked if he believed humans had free will, and he says, "Of course I do. I don't have a choice."
But you know what? Is it our human nature though? We fight against every minute of it that we can to try and have the illusion of free will. That's the way I feel about it.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Another freaking, he said, we do not have free will because if we did, I would choose to be a millionaire. Not quite what that means, but I get the joke.
My free will is going to affect somebody else's free will. So there you have it.
Well, and so people talk about like choice. And when a choice is before you and then you make the choice, the idea that people don't like is me saying that they were always going to make the choice that they ended up making.
Yeah.
Because it's a reaction of neurons and memories and experience, and that's just what's happening. Too many random things to be the same. Still no free will, though. Yeah. Well, and what is randomness if not just most things that appear random are just actually extremely complex. I don't want to get into quantum because I don't understand it. What'd you say? Oh, I thought somebody said I get it. I was like, oh, please explain it.
Not me.
Okay.
Well, actually, there has been some research that would say that you don't have free will at all, because every decision you make has already been made inside your brain before you realize it and before you make it. So
and then you make your choice prior to actually contemplating it, and then you make your choice and then justify your choice. I saw that as well. Choices are just one at quantum level. Sorry. At the very beginning of Big Bang, its expansion was measured in Planck time. Cool. I'll take your word for it. So hardcore determinist I used to be, but I also have seen some experiments that introduce non-repeatable in practice. I wouldn't call myself hardcore. I would say it seems likely that the universe is deterministic. It would take not a ton to change my mind, but it seems like that ton doesn't exist. And right now, even those things that are quantum and apparently, because I think those are the experiments you're talking about, is based on quantum physics, where things appear to be random. They haven't yet, to my knowledge, actually proven that they're truly random and not just incredibly complex beyond the comprehension of our ability to compute them. If I can do X and then try X again in different results, there must be a variable in there. Yeah, but so what? That doesn't make any difference. If you tried X again at precisely the exact same moment, at exactly the same moment in time in relation to when the Big Bang happened, then yes, that's what matters. But you're talking about a difference of time. So there is no way to do anything with zero difference. You can try and control it as much as you will with the exact same temperature and such. And what we found so far in science is if you get it very close to being exactly the same thing, that when you repeat an experiment, most of the time they do come out the same when you've actually identified the process that creates the solution.
Yeah, there's also an adjustment which was incorrect. Planck time is the time that we can go back to. So the first moment after the Big Bang. That's what is called Planck time.
Yeah, beyond my expertise.
Beyond mine as well, but I talk to smart people.
10 to the 43rd second.
That helps.
Yeah, 10 to the 43rd second, just where he put a negative before 43. Is it 10 to the negative 43 seconds?
I'm not sure. I'm not a mathematician.
Yeah, that would make sense because I think that means that the decimal goes the other direction. So I think that is what.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's
time. Oh, I'm getting messages from people at the ACA. Cool.
So maybe that could be part why I joined. I'm curious. What can you tell us what your role is in the ACA?
Right now, just a content creator and producing consultant, I guess, because I'm also helping them put some other things together. But I'm shortly going to be the host of a show called The Atheist Interviews. So basically, I met Eric and Jamie earlier this year and got involved in every way I could in being helpful. And yeah, that's. Go ahead.
Can you already unveil what that show is going to be about, or is that?
Yeah. Sure, I can tell you more about that. Hang on, let me tell Janet from the ACA that I'm busy, but to come check it out.
Yeah. Tell Janet I haven't joined the chat yet, but I will.
Let's see. So you wanted to know more about, okay, so the Atheist Interviews, basically the idea is going to be, it's kind of what it sounds like, man. YouTubers, authors, people who atheists are familiar with coming to. So, for example, at some point, I'll interview Eric and Jamie. That's no surprise or secret. But the interviews will be a little bit more personable. There will be some fun games in them as well, because people like that Jimmy Fallon bullshit. And just letting you get to know a person more than just their history. Because, like, say it was a Tracy Harris interview. A lot of people have heard in pieces her history, but now you'd be able to hear it linearly as we ask the questions, but then also get to know a little bit more about her and how funny she is and how cool.
I can't wait. That's like,
yeah, me either, because Tracy is high on my list. So
yeah, I haven't confirmed a Tracy Harris interview yet. However, as she is a member of the ACA, I don't think it's crazy to say that'll likely happen.
Yeah. So, but it will basically be interviews with atheists only. You won't have theists on there.
You know, that's a good question. So at the moment, it's not going to be the way the interviews are going to be done. You'll likely have one episode every other week or so, and then there will be clips and things that we don't put in the main episode, so that there's always content going out, because we always have to be thinking about content. As far as non-atheists, if somebody was interacting in an interesting way with atheists and I didn't hate them, I would let them on, probably, in a way that maybe is bridge building. I don't know if I would do debates, but for example, I'm not on the atheist interviews. I'd love to do debates in other ways, other opportunity, other debates, just not on that specific channel. But like Jordan Peterson, who has seduced much of the atheist community, is never going to be on my show because I hate him. Like, fuck that guy. Common sense charlatan. What's that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Since I do interviews, I obviously have to jump on what are the criteria to be hated?
To be interviewed?
No, to be hated. Because you said if I hate people, they won't come on.
So it's, for me, it's if I hate them. So you're asking me how to make, start sharing Jordan Peterson videos like crazy. Purposefully misgender non-binary people, or trans people. What are other ways that it's easy to make me hate you? Don't listen to any reason why I think Donald Trump is a fucktwat, and just I mean, there's always, I mean, call my mom a bitch. I don't know. That's, you don't know my mom, so I don't know if that would offend me all that much.
Yeah, well, I may be a bit of a masochist, but I just try to get people on that I actually hate. So I
see.
had a conversation with Kent Hovind. I still need to have a conversation with Seitan Bruggencate, someone from AIG.
So
we had Pastor Greg Locke on, who's not someone I
was thinking of Pastor Dave for a second. I was like, you had Pastor? No, I'm not sure who Greg Locke is. I'm only speaking to the atheist interviews. I would have Jordan Peterson on my personal channel, and I would be very mean to him, and I'd misgender him. Just a huge dick. Unholy, yeah, pretty much just be a douche. Unholy molass. So be a douche, pretty much. LOL. There's some of them we're still talking about.
Jordan Peterson knows jack shit about PTSD.
Jordan Peterson knows jack shit about most things. Jordan Peterson speaks in. So this is my impression of what Jordan Peterson is doing. Jordan Peterson takes complex issues. He creates a common sense approach to them. Then he empowers the common sense approach by using what is admittedly an impressive vocabulary. He does have a PhD or he has something in psychology. He's Dr. Jordan Peterson, but he also thinks that means that he is allowed to speak as an expert on things that are currently emerging sciences, like our understanding of gender. These are things that we're only just now learning, and it's kind of like the stuff with people with gay and lesbian people.
Yep, his skill is his semantic game. That's what it is.
And it is impressive. I agree.
I think it is.
However, notice that most of the times that it's quote unquote impressive, the most impressive or the most compelling, it isn't when there is anybody there to challenge him. If you watch the Matt Dillahunty and Jordan Peterson debate,
I did.
As soon as you see him challenged, he just falls apart and he doesn't even push back. He tried to make the no true atheist argument. He lost and just didn't reply after Matt was like, that's a stupid argument. And then they just moved on to the next question. Let's see. Let me know when the show will be so I can put it on my Another Freaking Atheist. Follow on Twitter and it will be. I'll definitely announce it on there. And that's also just an easy way to connect with me. Edgy emo, I've dated a few non-standard gendered people. I now am friends with some. Any of you have seen me or know me from Talk Heathen know that I've become friends with EJ down there. People who just, and the biggest thing is it's only when it's purposeful that it pisses me off.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Most non-binary or trans people, as long as you will make the effort and you will accept being corrected. So when they say actually it's he or actually it's they or actually, and you don't go, well, I'm not going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. That's usually enough, is just to try. As long as you're trying. Language is changing all the time. We always have to adapt. Don't be a fucking cunt.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So who would be your number one person to get on the show, on the new show?
There are some people that I'm excited that I'm pretty sure I will get, but these are things that, again, I don't want to let out. So I would say the number one person that I would love to interview. Ooh, there's a couple, man. Tim Minchin is pretty up there.
That'd be good.
Yeah. I don't have access to Tim Minchin, so don't think that means that we're trying, because I have no idea. He's literally on Broadway right now. He's fucking just Tim Minchin would be up there. I mean, obviously, there's not a person in the atheist community, even if you don't agree with them, who would pass up, if you're trying to build a channel and build views, who would pass up an interview with Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris. Sam Harris, okay, so here's the thing about Sam Harris. I don't think he's an Islamophobe. I don't think a lot of the criticisms he gets are warranted. That doesn't matter to me. He makes me fall asleep, and it's only because of his voice. I love his books. I've read his books. His books make very good, compelling arguments. His voice is so hard to listen to.
I thought I was the only one.
No, man. Welcome to the Waking Up podcast. We made NPR seem like a rock concert.
But what I was curious about is pretty much not only the people you want to have on, but the reason why.
Sure.
Because different people would have different reasons why you find them interesting.
Right. So anybody who's in emerging sciences or discovering, so I would love to have any scientist on who is working and feels they're close to like the abiogenesis question. But otherwise, a lot of it is just there was something missing when I became an atheist, where these people who I probably used to have a level of hero worship for. That's something that took me a while to program out in general after leaving Mormonism. And I try not to feel that way about people anymore. But there was something missing on the personable side, where I wanted to know what kind of underwear they wear, for lack of a better example, just what their normal, that sounded really weird and sexual, but I mean like what kind of their normal day-to-day is like, what kind of personality they have. This is not related to atheism, but I was reading a book, I'm trying to remember which one it was.
you just triggered an awful memory for me.
Oh no.
It was the part where Aaron Rod discloses what he wears, and he seems to be wearing a string, and to me that's an awful sight to have to envision. I mean, he did that in an interview with oh no, I forgot his name again. The former Pentecostal priest.
Oh, the one who lived as an atheist for a year and at the end determined that there was likely no God. Is that what we're talking about?
The one who's involved with recovering from religion.
Oh, I can't think of his name either. I may not know his name.
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
I'm going through my phone right now.
It's all good. Whatever his name is, I take your word for it that Aaron Rod disclosed what kind of underwear he has. But more broadly, I was just making the point that there's a personable side, an enjoyable side in politics. For example, I don't think it was one of Joe Biden's books. It was somebody on the opposite side, but they were talking about how they were friends with Hillary Clinton. So this is not atheist related.
Jerry DeWitt.
Oh yeah. Cool. They're friends with Hillary Clinton, and one thing that never comes out is that apparently Hillary Clinton has like a really funny sense of humor, is very funny and personable. Nobody knows that about her. She seems like a fucking robot. So I want to give people that opportunity. I don't think a lot of people know how funny Tracy Harris is. She's fun and lighthearted and she's fun to watch, but she's also just interesting and funny. And so I want to give that side to people. Jordan, Spooky Bed Hair says that I'm going to be sorry when I find out that Jordan Peterson is the second coming. I don't want to watch Jordan Peterson coming the first time, the second time, the third time.
Like
I imagine Jordan Peterson strikes me as a person with an incredible ego. I imagine to masturbate, he has to close his eyes and imagine himself naked.
Good point.
Spooky Better asked Seth Andrews.
Oh, I would love to. And I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. So the first thing that's going to happen is that we successfully build an audience. Once we have an audience, at first I have access to some people because the ACA has a name behind it. But after that, it will take a certain level of success. And Seth Andrews, I don't think, just as a matter of time management, I don't think he's going to bother with a show with less than.
Actually, I can correct you there because Seth Andrews has agreed to come on our channel, and we're not the biggest ones. If you're supported by the ACA, I'm pretty sure you'll have a lot more viewers than we will have.
Hell so,
yeah! When I talk to him, I will at least pitch the idea of your new show and trying to get you both in touch. So
that sounds awesome.
Come on, because he is one of the people who inspired me. So,
so Seth Andrews, I found out about after I was already atheist. But Seth Andrews, I could listen to him read the goddamn phone book, or worse, like a pharmaceuticals book. Yeah. His voice, I wish I had anything like the depth and just the natural charisma that comes out whenever he says a spoken word. That wasn't a good impression. That was the best I got.
For me, the guest that I'd like to get is that I'll dig up Carl Sagan's body and reanimate it, and that's right there.
Yeah. So,
but
go ahead.
I also think that when it comes to comedy, Seth Andrews is awesome. When you see the talks that he does and the way that he presents his stuff,
he's funny. Objectively funny. He just is funny. Yeah. I'd really like to get Neil deGrasse Tyson as well. At some point before he dies, I'd like to get Salman Rushdie. I mean, the number one person I would have ever wanted to interview was Christopher Hitchens. And I don't know if you guys have heard. If not, I hate to break the news to you. He has passed away some time ago.
Yeah.
I think he had cancer of the throat.
Yeah, he's and I think that's pretty much one of the biggest losses, not only to atheism, but to critical thinking.
Yeah, and really anybody who enjoys listening to the most advanced, beautiful form of dialogue and vocabulary. The English language was as much his friend as he also made it his bitch. He just his turn of phrase.
Yep.
I love watching debates, and his turn of phrase, I've yet to see anybody. I will sometimes listen to his brother talk about bullshit, and I disagree with his brother's much more conservative. He's a theist. Peter, I think is his name.
Yeah.
But he has not as good, but a similar skill. And so sometimes just to feel connected, I miss him so much.
Yeah, I don't think I could listen to his brother, even though we share a first name. I have an enormous dislike for
Did you
the
see
man.
Did you see them debate each other before he died?
Yes.
That was good.
Yes. It was, but yeah, as I said, I just hate the guy. I hate everything he stands for and everything that comes out of his mouth. So yeah, that would be a very difficult person to talk to, I think.
Scientist Mel. I don't know who that is. Maybe I do. Again, I watch a lot of
Ooh.
content. Who is Scientist Mel?
Scientist Mel is someone you need to check out. I think she is
Great.
probably the best science communicator we have on YouTube at this time.
I've probably seen her then. But
It's,
He was on my second show.
She's been on your
Yeah.
second show?
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a second show?
No, my Heathen DriveBYE second show that I did. About
Oh, okay.
ago.
Yeah, I mean, I will. So here's the other thing I have going, which is much more open to. Oh yeah. I've definitely seen Scientist Mel. We're friends on Twitter and stuff. Yeah, I've seen her stuff. Okay, so what was I going to say? I also have on my own channel a new project coming up called Sunday Mass, which next Sunday is the first episode, and it's almost similar. So it's not an interview thing, but it is a collab thing, and pretty much any atheist YouTuber, unless I find out you're a secret Nazi or whatever, at some point, I'm willing to have most people on. This Sunday's episode, which next Sunday, 6 days from now, I have genetically modified skeptic Shannon Q and Eric Murphy from Talk Heathen. The four of us will literally be talking about current events and all kinds of craziness. So please like and subscribe.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man, that's going to be enjoyable. Johnny, I'm sure you're going to be on at some point, right?
I'm sure. Anytime.
Yeah.
Do you have set topics for every show?
So, yes and no. So we have a set structure and the kind of things we're going to be talking about, but it would be foolish of me to today choose what we're going to be talking about on Friday, since with the current news cycle, what is relevant will have changed 92 times. So there are a couple of general things that I definitely know I want to talk about because I just want to talk about them. Bill Cosby. I mean, that's the main one that comes to mind right now, but there's a few more. Some atheist or some theistic legislation that's coming up in some places that I'm opposed to, including my own state here, related to adoption and such. So there are going to be certain things that won't change, but because it's going to be a current events central thing, I really feel like I need to make the outline the same day as the actual episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, we're past 8 already. Oh wow, time go fly.
Have I ever had anyone grab that mustache and face fuck you? So this is not a very long mustache. You wouldn't, and my face is really stretchy, so you wouldn't be able to do it much. I have. I'm not going to talk much about my sex life. However, I will say that I am effectively a passing heterosexual with, we'll call it heteroflexible. I have in recent years, through maybe all boredom, experimented more with. However, that isn't just to say gone with dudes. Again, I don't care what gender a person is, and I'm not limited to the only two genders. However, typically, I am most attracted to. I'm trying to decide whether it's okay to say titties or if I should just say women.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're going with the first one, there's this song on YouTube, "Show Them to Me," in which
I've seen Show Them to Me.
both versions are displayed in the audience, I guess. So
Right, let's see. So no, I've not been face fucked by the mustache. I'm gonna take that one out because this ear is just getting crazy. Oh man, the itchy ear. That's really attractive, I'm sure. Like I said, these are new rubber thingies, and either I have to get used to them or replace them with foam. But he is amazing how different Peter and Christopher are. Yeah, they really are very different, Peter and Christopher. However, I guess how different they are, it's how similar would they be if only Peter lost his faith in God? And that's an interesting question. Mr. Shadow Kitty got man boobs. Me too, but no thanks.
No porno on the side. Huh?
Yeah, this isn't one of those streams.
This isn't one of those.
No, sir. No, sir. This is one of those high character atheist streams.
Exactly. Yeah, we only do debauchery to like half the level.
Brian, no, I got no ass. Also, don't worry about it. I just need to do
I've got another question.
Go ahead.
From all of the atheist shows and maybe live streams, which is your favorite and why?
Okay, so this is one that, yeah, I am going to be careful because first of all, I don't know. Were you here at the beginning of the stream, Peter?
No, I missed.
Okay.
I think the first 5 minutes because I was live myself and had to switch over. So
yeah, no problem. So something I mentioned in the first 5 minutes is I've been meeting everybody, and I've been watching all their content and stuff. I wasn't a big consumer of YouTube before I became a content creator on YouTube. So what I want to do is I'm going to stick with prior to meeting everybody. There are people that I'm meeting now that I like and I identify with the most, and we get along really well. Like I said, this week. So as far as upcoming on Sunday Mass, I've got Genetically Modified Skeptic, Shannon Q. I've got on Eric Murphy on a future episode. We'll have Jamie from Talk Heathen. We'll have Brilliant Doubt, and there's some others lined up. And I love all of those people. Prior to getting started in all of this, the Atheist Experience was probably the show I consumed the most. I certainly watched a lot of Richard Dawkins debates and talks. And I know that there's a lot of people who just really don't like Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, but I was referring actually to atheist shows where there's some kind of interaction going on. Either between atheists or between atheists and theists, and I was referring to maybe to the point to where you become a creator yourself. So
right. So as far as like people who inspire my show and things I do, neither one of them's an atheist. They're both atheists actually, but they aren't atheist content creators. In other words, none of their stuff has to do with atheism. But as far as like what ties into what I do, like Philip DeFranco and the H3H3 podcast were both influencers on the styles I decided to go with. H3H3 Productions rather than the podcast. They are both atheists, but as far as that format of people who talk. So I used to really, really like Armored Skeptic, if that counts in that group, because he's done some collab work. He's gotten a little too, I'm not an SJW by any means, but that's what his show's become all about. And I think it lost a lot of value when it did. Some of the shows I still enjoy, and I've enjoyed watching him take down some people in that area, but it's kind of the format that you're talking about is a format I more recently consume. And that's where I don't want to go, I like X or Y, and then have a Discord full of people that I now have to go answer to, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Well, you said the show you watched most was the Atheist Experience.
Yeah.
So what attracted you most to that show, and why?
A sheer love of debate. Matt is an incredible communicator and debater. Tracy is an incredible communicator and debater. Russell is very, very knowledgeable. And he doesn't have the debate skills that Matt has, but he doesn't do, that's not to say he does bad. But what I like about what Matt lacks in the understanding of certain sciences, Russell has, and I think they're very complementary to each other. Russell is well informed. So my favorite episodes were the ones that were balanced like that. Matt and Tracy episodes, which haven't happened in years now that they're both primary hosts and not co-hosts. Those were some of my favorites because they complement a lot of they fill in what a lot of the other wasn't necessarily great at. Tracy and Russell do great. Matt and Russell did great.
So, and a lot of hosts we don't see anymore. People. One of my favorites, for instance, was Ashley Perriam, who left the show several years ago.
Right.
So, if you since you joined the ACA, if you had the power to bring back one host from the past. For maybe one or maybe a few shows, who would it be, and what would you most likely to see when they return?
That's a good question.
Really good question.
The hard part is I don't miss anybody, and I get you mentioned Ashley, but
I know who I'd choose.
Yeah, who would you choose?
Jeff D.
Well, and that was who my brain went to at first too. Jeff isn't gone; he's not nowhere.
But he's not. He doesn't do any. Not for a long time, has he?
Right? Yeah, I don't know if he hasn't done AXP in a while. Obviously, though, he's done nonprofits. And that's who came to mind. Jeff's kind of a funny one with me because sometimes I really like him on the show, and then sometimes I'm like, you went smug too quick, man. You too quickly went to yeah.
Some people had, well, yeah. I think I fed off of it too, though. So
yeah. Oh yeah. So Brian mentioned Dark Matter. Dark Matter is really good. I like his cartoons. But so that one's hard. Now, if I can change it though, which caller would I bring back instead of which host? I would really love to see 2,000 to 5,000 more interactions between Matt Dillahunty and Ray Comfort.
Oh, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I know.
Then he said that he never talked to Ray Comfort again?
Right. Matt never will. I don't know what would happen if Ray called in to talk to somebody else, but with Matt, he has a hard ban. That doesn't mean I mean, this sounded like a magic wand that I was waving. So if I'm waving the wand, that's who I'm going with.
Okay, since I'm currently setting up several talks with Mr. Kent Hovind, I'd like to see Matt team up and or go against Kent Hovind at some point.
Sure.
But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't think Matt doesn't want to even give him the time and to even give him the platform because that maybe even elevate him. So yeah, while I can understand that, I still think that certain people could do a very good debunking and maybe reach other people. So, and to me, that would be the prevailing reason to do it.
I'll do it. I'll debate Kent. No, I'm kidding. So for the two of you, let's just talk about, and I'll give you, you can throw dead people back in the mix. You wave your magic wand and now you get to watch the debate you've always wanted to watch. What debate would you go with?
Oh, that's easy. Hitchens versus Ken Ham.
Yeah, that would be a nice one. I would actually do Hitchens versus Jordan Peterson. Alternatively, if we went with living people, I would like to see Stephen Fry back in debates.
Oh, yes. Oh
I like
yes.
to see Socrates and Plato.
Boring. Even if they did move things forward, they're still way behind us now.
But it'd be fun.
But
What
I
a-
have another question. You constantly refer to debates. One
Mhm.
thing that I put on my channel, I'm never going to have a debate or a debate setting on my channel because I
Sure.
don't think it's useful. I think conversations are better.
Sure.
And so, what's your opinion?
I'm good with the conversation thing too. That's fine by me. I will say the greatest debate slash conversation I saw was a debate, and it was Christopher Hitchens and Stephen Fry versus two representatives of the Catholic Church, one being a bishop, I believe, and then the other an
Yes.
MP. That's the greatest thing I've ever watched, of just maybe in general. And that was a real debate. I do think debates are useful, moderators less so. Moderators in a large question and answer style debate where the questions aren't sourced from each other can be good. Otherwise, I probably prefer the discussion format, even in a debate. I am willing to do both if ever it was asked of me, but I'm nobody, so it hasn't been asked of me yet. There are certain things I'd probably want to do prior to all of that, in relation to, there are several degrees I would like to have one day. And so maybe not prior to any of them, but prior to any more advanced ones.
But don't you think that in a debate, the one who ends up winning the debate is just the best debater and doesn't
Yes,
isn't
and
isn't
yeah,
necessarily the one with the best facts or the best
right.
reasons or the best sources? So
So
that's my problem with debates.
I agree. Yes, to a large degree, I agree, and to some I don't. Um, I think there is a responsibility amongst debaters to go with people their own skill level. So, for example, Christopher Hitchens and Ken Ham, that would be punching down to me. Uh, William Lane Craig, despite being very dishonest, I think is a very talented debater. Dinesh
Yeah.
D'Souza is a very talented debater, and those are the people you should pair up with talented debaters. But I don't debate for the person I'm talking to. I debate for the people that are watching or are reading, because most of my debates up to this point have been in college settings, which were part of school or just on Facebook or in text-based threads. So it's not something. I don't think it's useless. I don't think you have to, as long as, okay, here's where I disagree. I think once you get past a baseline, it doesn't, the difference between how good you are versus the other person makes very little difference. You only have to be so good, and then once you're to that line, the only exception being someone like Christopher Hitchens, who I think could have argued for either side and always won because his language and tact was just so good.
Yeah.
I think there are a few exceptions to that. So once you are sufficiently versed, I don't think the amounts of difference in charisma make much difference.
But
So
I would say the same thing for William Lane Craig, though. I mean, he has his debating skills are perfect.
yeah, he's good.
His timing is perfect. So and that's why I think
But he's full of shit.
get us,
Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't get us anywhere because he would be the one who would be the most convincing in a debate because
Oh, no.
he just has those skills, I think.
William Lake Craig has lost lots of debates. Has he won some? Yes. But so one of the useful things for debates are for people who are atheists and already believe certain things or don't believe certain things, but lack the ability to articulate when confronted. And so that's one of the most useful things about, for example, my go-to when a person says, fuck, what's the one I steal from Matt? there's a specific argument that Matt Dillahunty responds to better than almost anybody. And it might be I don't think it's the guilty, not guilty versus guilt versus innocence. There's some other one, but you learn to articulate things where you go, I already believe that. I'm not just trying to repeat what others say. I already believe that. I already knew I believed it. I just lacked the ability to articulate it. And that can be very useful.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think
the way you articulate something is exactly the way you get your point across and win a debate. You can't do it by just sitting there stumbling around and going, blah, blah. The confidence is a huge thing for me on it.
Sure.
If I do have to judge somebody on it.
Does anybody in the chat have questions anymore? I feel like we're neglecting you guys. If this is adequate, what we're talking about, if that's entertaining enough to you, are you not entertained?
People
kind of get turned off by debates.
Yeah,
I have been watching a little. I haven't seen question. Maybe I missed one, but I haven't seen one yet. Well, just to get back to the debates, pretty much that would be one of the reasons why I don't debate. I'm Dutch, so English isn't my first language.
Sure.
So coming up to people like a William Lane Craig or even a Matt Dillahunty, I would lose spectacularly, even if I had all the facts and all the good reasons on my side, because I like the eloquence and I lack certain language skills, and so that could be.
Hey, Godless Iowan is somebody that I'm looking to befriend.
He's all right. I don't worry about too much. He's a good guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Anytime you want to collab, Godless Iowan, anytime, I'm there. Anybody questions? Give me anything. How do I do my hair? Even though I didn't do my hair today, I'll.
Well, what is there? The uncertainty principle.
I guess, Godless, I meant more. We've definitely met in ways, in things, but interact more, I guess. Did Nicole leave already? Nicole, you must have some question.
Godless Iowan has responded. You want to befriend me?
Yeah, that's what I was just replying to.
He may be looking if that's is that a euphemism?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna befriend you hard. I'm sorry. You're at least Godless Iowan. You're the most interesting thing in Iowa.
Don't get him started.
My Twitter name is @DearMr.Atheist. Unholy Mole. What is Don like off camera? He's quiet on camera. Are you talking about from the Atheist Experience? Does Don mean anything to either of you guys other than that?
Don would be the one on Atheist Experience, I would say.
Okay. So I don't know Don. I'm not actually in Texas. I've interacted with much of the ACA, but not even most of them. So at least Iowa isn't Minnesota.
I know. I see that. I see that. You're done now, pal.
True enough. Minnesota though has wow, what does Minnesota have? I mean, Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, Minneapolis. We got Boundary Waters.
Minneapolis has one of the best medical schools in the country, doesn't it? Isn't that where Northwestern is?
Yep, Mayo and University.
If I can do a shout out, Minnesota definitely has one of the best Twitter accounts when it comes to atheists, and that's Pinky Sleeve for Tits. I don't know if you ever heard of him. But that's definitely someone you should follow.
So Clay asks, what are you planning for your personal channel? So every Thursday is still Dear Mr. Atheist. That is answering questions that atheists are posed over and over again. We started with, why do you hate God? Because he took everything from me. That was the silly God's not dead version. We've done things like, how can atheists have morals? This coming Thursday is on Pascal's Wager, which is the idea of why not believe just in case. But during it, I actually kind of lay out Pascal's actual argument, not just so a lot of people will hear why don't you believe just in case? And then someone will just reply, well, that's Pascal's wager. And they just know that that's what it is. However, he laid it out a little more complex. My version is still my creative take on his version, but it actually lays out because he was talking about principles of gambling and math and trying to inject what he thought was logic into it. But it's entertaining and interesting, I promise. I use those silly caricatures to keep everything good. I also have Sunday Mass, which will be coming out every Sunday, where me and a few other atheist content creators, YouTubers, just shoot the shit and talk about current events. And then during the week, I'm going to start going live more often and just talk about random shit. There's lots of things I've wanted to create, and I'm going to still use my channel to do it. I just rewrote David Cohen's Hallelujah. So we're looking for a grand piano, possibly in a church, to record a music video for the atheist version of it I wrote, which is called Ironically Hallelujah.
You have to get a Unitarian church for that one then.
We actually have a church lined up.
Cool.
It sounds like it's just about an hour away, and we're not positive on it.
They do have the acoustics down in churches, don't they?
Yeah. It well, it's just the irony, you know. It's called Ironically Hallelujah. I feel like I don't know. It just feels good. Let me try. And then yeah, so that music video. I also have some sketches that I want to film and stuff. But so Thursday is the main show, Dear Mr. Atheist. That's every Thursday. Sunday Mass, and those are the things you can always count on. And then the rest of the week will be random crap. I also am a really, really picky eater. And so I'm going to start just trying foods I've never tried, because you would be very surprised at the very basic things I've never tried. Sushi being the one that makes people the most angry for some reason.
Yeah. Angry.
Yeah.
So, I just recently caught a conversation about sushi where they said sushi, isn't that bait?
Pretty much.
So.
Yeah. I actually don't like most seafood, and I have never tried lobster. So here's the thing. Lobsters are cockroaches. They're just bigger, and it grosses me out.
Yep. I would fully agree there.
But I'll probably try it on my channel. I don't know. So I actually did a video on a day that I had been I said it was because I was too sick, but actually the guy who was editing that video for me, I now do most of the editing, and that's a recent change. I have an editor who does help out with stuff though, and he'll still be editing a lot in the future. But now with these two new shows and everything, just I need to make sure we always hit things on time. So anything that takes less than 3 days to put together is edited by me. Anything with a little more time will be edited by him. Why was I bringing that up? Anyway, so we had both gotten sick, and because of that, we couldn't have an episode out on time. So I did an episode where I tried at my store, my local grocery store. They had these carbonated drinking vinegars, and I tried those, and I threw up one of them. They're so
well. Being Dutch and not too big on seafood, I'd suggest trying smoked eel. Which probably grosses out most of the people.
So I have a friend named Sarah who has committed to. She wants to be in charge of me trying sushi, and I'm pretty sure eel was one of the things. She wants me to like it though. So we'll see.
That's why I pitch smoked eel. So
yeah. So that's the funny thing. I told her, I was like, yeah, bring some things that I can be like, wow, we're crazy. I found something I like. But then I was like, also bring some things that'll make me throw up, because that's what the people want to see. Let's be real. Nobody's coming hoping. It's just like that one nature guy. Whenever he posts a new video, you scan through to figure out whether or not you think he lets the insect he's studying bite him, because that's all we give a shit about. The pain.
Well, since you mentioned Stephen Fry, did you catch that he once on television had people try to eat insects, and then ate a chocolate insect himself, and then kept choking on one of its legs?
Oh, gross!
So I think one of the most hilarious pieces of TV I've ever seen. So yeah.
Motherfucker hasn't ate sushi. This is from Godless Iowan. Motherfucker has ate sushi. Never mind, I ain't collabing with a non-sushi eater. But would you collab with a Stewie Griffin impersonator, baby? We also do Kermit the Frog. And Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Let's see. At Godless Iowan, I do not eat sushi, but at least I have your intro for my channel whenever I talk about hell. So, okay. Nicole says that she was going to be sick watching me try the vinegars. Like and share. Yes, please. Like and share. Smoked eel is good. Ate in Germany while visiting family. Never had smoked eel. Smoked eel is amazing. Okay. Is any of these questions
Hey, Godless Engineer, how you doing?
Godless Engineer is here?
Yeah, he is.
Godless Engineer, I would like to be your friend. I would like to do some stuff together. I would like you to be on an upcoming episode of Sunday Mass. Can that happen? My email is dearmratheist@gmail.com. So Godless Engineer, this coming Sunday is my first episode of Sunday Mass. I have Shannon Q. I have Genetically Modified Skeptic and Eric Murphy from Talk Heathen as my guests. I would have to look at my calendar, but I would love to have you on either the next week or the week after if you're down for it. We record on Fridays, though. I don't know if I should admit that. I do like to edit. So anyway, Godless Engineer. Oh, he said most definitely.
He gave you a thumbs up there.
Hell yeah. I was just about to be like, I don't want you to feel pressured because now you're on the spot. Only I told Nicole the other day, she was saying somebody would likely have me on their show.
Godless Iowa, when he said, "Oh yeah, his actual ideas for Godless Engineer, he just wanted to do something with me."
No, I mean, Godless, same thing. Come on, Sunday Mass. What's my favorite topic to take on? Probably things related to biology, evolution, and such. I also really like talking about Mormonism because I was a Mormon. Actually, that's probably even more so. My two favorite episodes of Dear Mr. Atheist was the one where I replied to Josh Feuerstein's Dear Mr. Atheist. This is my impression of the video. Hey guys, Josh Feuerstein here. You know, the other day I had an atheist come up to me who called me an idiot, moronic, and stupid because I believed in God, and where he believed in what he called the science of evolution. Okay, well, let's do this. Dear Mr. Atheist, first of all, atheism is not a science and it never has been. Why? Because it was never observed. Anyway, that's the video I responded to. That's
Josh.
Yeah, thank you. That's my that and my most recent Mormon one are my favorite. I think my telling of the first vision is up there amongst the best. So I talk about the Dementors and everything.
You have to be careful with the Feuerstein, because in his latest video, Godless Engineer started doing his videos the same way that Feuerstein does. He taped himself in his car. So
does he? But does he do it vertically?
No.
And it's already better.
He doesn't have to style down all that well.
I'm gonna do a video sometime with vertical and sideways or something like that.
Well, you know what we should do is just do them vertical and then stack them 3 next to each other.
Hey, there you go.
Spooky Bad Hair.
He says this video was vertical. I don't know.
Oh man. That weird Twitch people.
I think I focused more on the content than on the video itself.
At Mr. Spooky Bad Hair asks at Mr. Atheist, when is your Discord starting? Soon. I'm also going to be launching. So my thought process is wait till 1,000 subs to start launching those community things. I'll be launching my Patreon around then and such too, because this is becoming very expensive, or at least it needs to pay it'll need to pay for certain things to sustain itself, because I am a digital artist, as I mentioned. I'm a photographer. I own a lot of fancy photo gear. Okay. So a lot of things were like,
okay, I have to interrupt you because the Godless Iowan asked a question. Now he's a Pentecostal, so he speaks in tongues. So I'll translate it for you, kind of.
Go ahead.
Oh, That was his question. No, he says, what kind of conditioner do you use for your hair?
I use Alcee. I think it's called Alcee. Alcee. It's a purple bottle. It's some Australian thing. So anyway, I don't know when at 1,000 subs, I'll be launching a bunch of new stuff. So if you want to get in the Discord sooner, help me get to 1,000 subs.
There you go.
Hey. Edgy, you're here because I told you he was streaming through Twitter. Godless Engineer. Oh, thank you. I love that. Godless Engineer. You're one of the few that. So I was telling them earlier. I've been consuming everybody that I've been meeting through this community and trying to watch all the stuff and get caught up. Because I feel like that's the nice thing to do. And you're one of the few that I know I can for sure always identify, because everything else I'm watching on double speed and shit, trying to just get through content and become familiar with, but I'm not good at putting names to faces. Your name to face will always be up there for me. I was the one, I don't know if you remember, Godless, I was the one donating $6.66 in super chat on your thing the other day. Let's see. Here's a done question I've been asked. If you don't believe in God, why do you use the time periods BC, AD? It actually hurt my brain. So it's not as though not believing in God makes history change. And historically, that is what we've based our shit on. But also keep in mind, those numbers don't make fucking sense anyway. Like, I remember learning that BC really means before Christ, but wasn't he born in 5 BC? How was he born 5 years before himself? I mean, anyway, that's still tradition. Why do I celebrate Christmas and Easter? Tradition. I don't really celebrate Easter, but
well,
I can
I'm
answer, 28 and single.
I can answer one question for you. Why he can be born 5 years before he was born? Because he's God.
Right.
I get that all the time. He seems to be able to do everything. So that would be a problem.
No problem there. Yeah. Godless Engineer, go check it out. So in the Dementors reference is in the first Vision story, Joseph Smith is supposedly being attacked by a dark presence, and so I just represent that dark presence with Dementors. Okay, let's see. Hi, Caitlin. Chloe was apparently on fire last night.
Hey, John.
Godless Engineer wants us to know that his video was indeed vertical.
Hey.
Godless Engineer is here.
Hey, John. Welcome to my channel.
What up?
Godless Engineer, what we need to figure out is... hey. I'm smart. What we need to do is I'll just dub the voice in and you do the mouth motions, because I feel like I'm not far off, am I? Hey, Josh Fierstein here.
No, you're pretty good, actually. I would say. You're a lot better than I am, because I come off with a very, I guess, Southern accent. Like, I can't get away from a Southern accent. I just can't.
Yeah, I've been neutralized by Denver. I'm told our area of the country has the most neutral accent, but I've been raised by a New Yorker and a British woman, so I got all kinds of accents coming at me. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm really tired tonight. I mean, I was up till like, what was it, like 1 a.m. or something last night? Damn. It was almost 2.
You're headed to the Creationist Museum, aren't you?
No, we've already been.
Oh, okay. You already went. I'm still behind. I'm catching up, man.
Well, no, yeah. I posted the vlog of it today, and a lot of people seem pretty happy with it.
Awesome. That'll likely be what I watch next then once we get done here.
Teaser.
It was cool, John. I have one question though. How did you not get thrown out?
I don't know, because I basically played out a scene where Adam was begging for some dick sucking action from Eve in the middle of it. So, and like their rules specifically say, hey, no cursing. And I'm sitting there like, God damn it, this fucking shit. Give me your twig and pear, Adam.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome.
I'm being told Edgy is really good. Forward me their information. I'll go look at their stuff. At dear Mr. Atheist at gmail.com. So Godless Engineer, or John, am I allowed to call you John?
Oh yeah.
Call me Mr. Atheist. No, I'm kidding. I'm Jimmy. And please do it with like a real sexy tone. Hey, Mr. Atheist.
Call me Daddy.
Hey, Daddy, how you doing? How you doing?
You were on my short list of people I wanted to ask to jump on Sunday Mass with, and I offer myself up to whatever you want in return, and I don't only mean content. I mean this in a very deep, dark, sexual way.
Oh my.
Yeah. Casey's looking at me like mine.
For now.
No, yeah, I would actually love to have you on for an interview because like ex-Mormons are, I love talking to ex-Mormons and what, they went through and everything. And I mean, like I have a few ex-Mormons like in my friends list that I need to get on, but no, yeah, I'd definitely love to have you on for like an interview and stuff.
I'm super in. Thank you, Johnny DriveBYE, for giving me the opportunity to link up with other people. Now, fuck off. I'm never talking to you again.
just so you know, just to tell you something, Mr. Atheist, offering to do anything at all for John, Casey is going to cut you.
I'll do anything for
I'm just saying, you're going to get cut.
I am so here's my current thing. I'm a very open person, so I'm not going to pretend that I don't hope this all turns into a very lucrative adventure that can pay for itself because I enjoy doing it so much. I am trying to sub build as much as possible, so I will literally collaborate with anyone. And if that means that I have to make some people a little jealous, because I don't know if you've looked at my lips, but they're voluptuous. I'll do what it takes.
Godless Ion, do you have the same idea I have that we may have encountered someone who actually has an orgasm button?
Who's another freaking atheist still?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, maybe.
I was gonna say Dean Esme. All you got to do is hit the right buttons, and it seems like he has those hate orgasms.
Oh, that's the only word you can't say on my channel. What the hell?
Which word?
Who?
Which word are we not allowed to say on your channel?
Dean Esme.
Oh,
I just said it. Oh shit! It's all going to hell.
Oh no, Johnny,
earlier.
Johnny, you just doxed him.
Oh, well, good.
How did that happen?
Well, he was complaining that Steve McRae had doxed him after he had used Dean Esme as his channel name, and then went to Red Pill Religion, and then to Max Colby, and then back to Dean Esme. He was already back to Dean Esme when Steve McRae referred to him as Dean Esme, and he was freaking out because he had been doxed.
Oh,
his URL has always been YouTube/Dean Esme because he can't change that anymore. And he was complaining about getting doxed while using that YouTube URL all the time.
Here's the funniest thing that happened today. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take over, but
who's talking right now?
This is Godless Iowan.
Oh, hey, Godless Iowan.
Learn my voice, motherfucker.
I'm figuring it at double speed.
No, anyway, the funny thing that happened today was he was going back and forth with Cap Brony on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw.
Well, then he blocked Cap Brony, and then for some reason he unblocked Cap Brony, and then was pissed because Facebook wouldn't let him block him again because there's a waiting period.
Well, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, well, and I had posted a screen cap of Dean calling the U.S. Museum of or Holocaust Museum a dodgy source, like about Jewish history. Well, yeah, about World War II and the Holocaust, and so it's just like it's like
that's rough.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I even posted parts of it that were like, hey, like the Nazis in the Vatican signed a concordant together to, like, I guess, work together or something like that. And then they killed off all the people that were opposed to it. And it's like, oh, okay. So they actually signed an agreement to work together. This doesn't sound too good for Max.
Yeah. Oh man.
What
Go ahead.
Didn't you know that it was completely different? Because I had actually had a university professor tell me that it was just a teaching experience that God used so we would treat Jews better.
What the hell?
And she actually meant it. And this woman is teaching at a university, a secular university.
I don't. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys. So I'm working on an episode. So this week is Pascal's Wager. Next week is going to be the when people say when you go to hell, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna watch you from heaven and laugh. But basically those kinds of things people say to us. What do you think though now of atheists who are fucking stupid? Fucking so there's that age-old question of like, if you could press a button and everyone would become atheist, would you? And that's more instantaneous. But like on the way to everybody becoming atheists, I feel like there are a lot of people I want to become atheists last because they're so fucking stupid. They're slowing down our progress. I have a brother who's this way, who like, he tries to defend Mormonism, and even to Mormons, they're like, you're making bad arguments. Please stop. But like these people who, atheists who are conspiracy theorists and don't believe that the Holocaust was as bad as has been said, or something equally stupid, thinking that Jordan Peterson's any good. I'm kidding. That one is definitely worse. But what do you guys think of these people who are quote unquote on our side getting louder? Incels. There's a lot of atheist incels. Do you guys know what incels are?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Holy,
we become well versed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My roommate had told me about him about a year ago. And I guess he had been following the Reddit, one of their Reddit threads, and truly because he was amused by it, not because he was into it. And then that thing happened up in Canada and all this shit. And there's a lot of atheist incels now. And one of them told me, I'm not kidding, their argument was that denying them sex is as violent an act as actual rape.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And to answer your question, here's my thoughts on it. I always say this. So just because you're able to sign your name at the top of a test, if you were to turn that in right at that moment, you're not going to pass because you didn't answer any other questions right. Just because you get the most easy question answered and go, okay, yeah, this doesn't make sense, God doesn't exist, or you're like, I don't believe that God exists, doesn't mean you're going to be smart in any other aspect of your life. You know, I've met atheists that are big time into astrology, and that makes no fucking sense to me.
Fucking crystals.
Yes, and into ghosts and stuff like that. It's like, okay, you've rejected that there's a supernatural being.
Right. Congratulations on your broken fucking clock. It's right.
But I mean, I think everybody's on the right track if they've made that decision. But at the same time, a lot of people start speaking out before they actually have coherent arguments.
So let's make this a little more interesting then. Let's make it, what is your least favorite type of atheist who also believes in X? Iowan,
I don't generally say his name, but there's a specific one that has very good produced content on YouTube.
Oh, fuck you, dude. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But he's just the shittiest person on earth, and Johnny will know who I'm talking about, and probably most people will know who I'm talking about.
Obviously, it's me, so fuck off.
No.
I'm just kidding. I think I might even know who you're talking about, but I won't. We'll talk about it after.
It's me, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, God damn it. He figured it out.
I'm talking about more of a group. Like for me, it's hardcore. There is a large group now of atheist anti-vaxxers.
Oh, ugh.
What? Huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have Facebook groups, fucking conventions, and that when that shit was happening in New Jersey, that's where they came to my attention most, because in various atheist groups on Facebook I was following, people were like, yeah, but they're right. what are you talking about? Why are people in this group getting mad? This is about atheism. And I would have thought you guys all like science, and the science says blah, 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 fucking Mercury, and I don't understand a goddamn thing. And I hope you have all seen, none of you have, but it's okay. I have an episode on vaccines, and I wrote a vaccine song. It's only 30 seconds, so I do recommend. I'm proud of it.
Well, I wasn't going to check it, but when you said it was only 30 seconds.
That sealed the deal.
It's literally just, I found out. So in doing my research for the episode, I wanted to see how many things we vaccinate against, because I don't have any kids and I don't fucking remember how many I had. So and I noticed that they all rhyme. So I literally just sat down at my piano and made a 30-second song of the things that we vaccinate against. And so it's a fun time.
So the group that I can't stand probably the most are the atheist Jordan Peterson apologists.
Yep. Do any of you watch Talk Heathen? Did you watch this last Sunday's episode?
I didn't watch this last Sunday's.
Oh, I called in this last Sunday and talked shit about Jordan Peterson.
For me, the atheists that I don't like are the ones that try to attach like purity tests to the movement and whatnot. There's a significant amount of atheists that are like, we only want people that subscribe to these certain social ideas. Yeah. And it's like you can't deviate from that, or else you're separated from your people.
Right. And that's especially true with the political crossovers, I feel like. I see a lot of atheists being very hostile toward Republicans, and I'm very much not a Republican, but we can't tell them no, because those people vote, man. Like,
I mean, I will make a lot of jokes about Trump.
Right. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literally when a person reveals themselves to be a Republican in like a Facebook group or anywhere and just gets shit on for it. There's not a lot of good reasons to have voted for Trump. That's a specific action, though. I'm talking about there are ways to be secular and Republican, as we see in like the rest of the world. It's just not common in the US, and not be an amoral piece of shit. I just think you haven't. I think that you haven't taken your brain to all the places it should have gone if you're extremely conservative. I went through a libertarian phase before becoming liberal. After becoming atheist, I grew out of it, but
so when you say you went through a libertarian phase, you went through a phase where you didn't really know a lot about politics, right?
No,
because I was libertarian for a while, and yeah, it was like,
everybody's libertarian to a certain point.
On the brink of going, okay, I'm not yet ready to say I'm liberal.
Right. There are a lot of morally and intellectually honest reasons to be a libertarian, but then it's also just like, hey, that's selfish, and you're ignoring all of these true obscenities, like I mentioned earlier, that exist in the rest of the world. So that need government. And then my other thing was, so I think I was libertarian because I used to think that people could see to their own lives and their own shit. Now I think the number is less than 10%. Less than 10% of Americans could actually handle their own shit, could live a life without a government, can fend for themselves, if you will. And so, but beyond that, our country is rich enough and well enough to make sure no one's ever hungry and no one's ever not taken care of, and no one ever dies because they couldn't afford treatment. And it, to me, is immoral that doesn't happen yet. So I don't know. My libertarian phase was probably more like, I didn't want to become a cliche atheist. I left Mormonism. My whole family's Republican. I wanted to try and bond with, and then I realized that being theist anyway had influenced my politics so much that I had to reapproach them. And when I did, I came out hard left.
I have a question about that, because as I am Dutch, we have a lot more political parties than just the two that you have in the United States. And when I look at it, to me, it's I have two views. To me, it seems more like even an identity than voting for a particular party, because for a lot of people it becomes part of their identity,
Right.
and it also sounds more religious, the way they defend their party, and so.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to grasp, because we don't have that here, because
I'll
we
tell you
have
what, our political
bigger
system
variety.
in the US is nothing but a false dichotomy. That's
the majority of both sides of the political aisle, Democrat and Republican in America, aren't good at being Republicans or Democrats. They are both. It's more like I picked a side and then I let either Fox News or there's not really a left equivalent to Fox News, but I let propaganda decide my choices for me. I am a Democrat or a Republican first, and Republicans believe X, so I believe X. And it's sometimes it's getting better, and other times it's just not.
I'm in the
that's how I see it as well, because they don't look at what their program is for an election. For instance, they don't have a clue where certain people stand on certain issues,
right?
And that's
and look at. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, to me that's what bothers me. I mean, how can you vote for a political party if you don't know what they're actually going to do?
Well, look at last election versus, and if ever it sounds like I say look at instead of look at, somebody punch me in the balls and tell me, because look at is one of my pet peeves. I know. Anyway, look at our last two elections. The election before last was a moderate Democrat versus a moderate Republican, Romney versus Obama. Neither of them very far. They had semi-defined platforms. Obviously, I liked Obama over Romney, but they weren't all that far from each other. And then look at just the absolute polar opposite that happened. Technically, Hillary's a moderate Democrat. I'm not even thinking about her right now. Look at how close Bernie Sanders got to winning. And then look at, you literally had a socialist versus a fascist. By the way, I liked the socialist, but look at these extremes that we were technically extremes. I don't think Bernie is an extremist, but look at these extreme viewpoints that hadn't been politically represented. One of them almost became the Democratic nominee, and probably would have were it not for super delegates and primaries being not super Democratic, though caucuses aren't either. But then on the other side, you have this person who wasn't even trying to pretend he was a Republican. I don't think I've ever heard him reject the idea of fascism in any way. Like, he's been called a fascist so many times, and at no point has he come out with his stupid, shitty hair and gone, no, listen, I think fascists are the worst. They have the smallest penis. I have a big penis. So how could I be a fascist? That's never happened so far. So I don't know. It's politically, we don't know where everybody's at, which is why we keep getting surprised to find out. Nobody laughed at my Trump impression. I'm really self-conscious.
I was laughing on the inside, but I've got to drop out actually. I've got to head out, so I'll talk to you all later.
Yeah, good meeting you, man. You're in the Discord with us, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, just PM me through there, and we'll get something set up, man.
Okay.
Cool.
Catch you later, GI.
Catch you later.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yep.
Thank you, Unholy Mole and Casey, both of you. And gonna go for it. I like all of you also.
I giggled, but I was muted because I'm working on tomorrow's Bible podcast. So
thank God. I got to do more impressions on my stuff. My Donald's not great, but my Stewie, my Kermit, my Charlie Kelly, they're all
Actually, I was silent because I had a vision at that point. I thought he had sneaked in somehow. I thought it was perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so I pretty much have one impression I can do. That's Redneck Hick, and it usually works pretty well for my particular content.
Yeah, it works perfect for it.
I do enjoy doing. So that I usually refer to as accents versus impressions, and I enjoy I do a number of accents as well. I just need to bring them out more.
I can only do the German accent because I live close to Germany, and there are a lot of American bases. So I have heard a lot of Germans try to speak English, but it doesn't always work that way.
Because you know the Germans, you never know if they're about to break into song or to murder you. You cannot know this.
Oh, now you're so close to a character from a British TV show.
Oh, which one? I watch a lot of British TV.
Hello, hello. I don't know if you
hello,
ever
hello.
heard of that.
I think I do know what you're talking about.
That's set in France. That's set in France, and all they do is talk in a French accent and a German accent. But John, I have to say, you said you didn't do impressions that well. I thought your Feuerstein was pretty close, but you lacked a gun. You need to have a gun next time.
Come and get it.
Oh, well, actually, on one of my videos where I responded to Joshua Feuerstein brandishing a gun, I do have a pistol that I used in that, and so I mean I did have a gun at one time, but yeah, I've since gotten rid of any guns.
Did you ever watch the Limey Show?
I don't recall that one.
Oh, it's also. I think that was more Irish TV, but there's this really funny episode where it's basically sketch comedy, but sort of like Saturday Night Live, but everything's actually set produced. And so there's this one where this real Irish guy goes, "I've got a question for you. What's heavier, a kilogram of steel or a kilogram of feathers?" And then a little timer goes by and he goes, "That's right. That's a kilogram of steel, because steel is heavier than feathers." And then you have the people come in trying to explain to him that if they're both a kilogram, they have to be they're the same weight. Well, don't get it, but steel's heavier than feathers. And I'm not doing it justice. Just look, steel is heavier than feathers on YouTube later, and I promise you'll laugh. I'm just going to assume everyone was muted again, so I don't cry myself to sleep tonight.
Sorry, I was looking through your content, just so you know.
Cool. Yeah, I did. I did one Josh Feuerstein response, and then I included his "Come and Get It" in my video called "Why Are All Atheists a Bunch of Liberals Who Want to Take Our Guns" or something like that. All of them are ironically named, which I don't think people understood on the vaccine episode. It seemed like a lot of people watched the vaccine episode thinking that I was anti-vaccine. I am not.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. Like, there will be a lot of people that'll comment before they actually watch the video, and because, like, I mean, I title my videos and everything so that it'll pop up like in both atheist and religious people's feeds, because
Sure. Exactly.
I mean, my target audience are people that are already atheists, but I love getting the random people that are like, "Why is this in my recommended? Fuck this shit, atheist scum."
my target audience are curious people, I think. On Dear Mr. Atheist, Sunday Mass won't be that way, but Dear Mr. Atheist, like, I don't swear on Dear Mr. Atheist, or if I do, I bleep it out. And I'm trying to get, especially, this is going to sound, so when I launched my channel, right before I did on Facebook, I wrote, "About to launch a new atheist project I've been thinking about doing for years. And just so you know, the purpose is to turn all of your kids gay." But in a way, that's not actually gay, but I think there are questions that kids will ask, and they're the main people on YouTube, and teenagers and stuff. I think about my little brother a lot, and the idea that he might watch one day. And so a lot of the content, not that I'm getting like, "And then when you go to die, you just rot in the ground." It's nothing like that, but I am thinking about a younger audience who is consuming out of curiosity. Cat Brony, yes, that is Carmen Sandiego and Waldo from Where's Waldo. And you can't really see. Let me see if I can tilt this without fucking up my shot too much. That's Boba Fett in the door, and then Where's Waldo is saying, "Oh fuck."
It's a good thing I don't have anything monetized.
What? Oh, because I said fuck.
No, I'm just kidding. Fuck it.
No, John,
Okay.
John, I can help you out there because I'm on movie night almost every week. Little plug for the Side Strike channel. Last week, not the last Friday, but the week before, we had a guy on from England, and pretty much every second word he said was "fuck."
Fucking hell.
I'm breaking. Yeah, and that didn't get demonetized. So
some things fly under the radar, but I feel like I thought there was something about as now there are tools to like mark it if you swear or something, and then it just adjusts.
You got to make money out of it sooner or later, right? I mean,
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that, but I mean, you guys listen to my channel, and like 90% of my videos are monetized.
And yeah, so it's just it seems like at the very least they'll be monetized until somebody gets upset.
Well, it's very subjective to who the reviewer is and exactly which portions of the video they choose to watch.
Right.
Because like as far as profanity goes, like YouTube's pretty lenient about it if it's like a reasonable amount of swearing, but like if you spend the first 5 seconds of your video going fuck, then you're most likely not going to get it monetized. But I also have had religious videos or anti-religious videos that have like legit nearly no cussing in them, but they are limited to no ads, like confirmed by manual review, because of the fact that it's anti-religious.
Which is such a fucking like bullshit thing to me that things are labeled. So I even mentioned in one of my videos that I almost definitely exist now on a list somewhere in the Mormon church as anti-Mormon because my family's prominent enough in the church for things like that to happen. So because I say Mormon critical things, I'm labeled anti-Mormon, which to them means a whole bunch of things. Anti-religion to me is still, I don't know. There's a difference, for example, between being anti-Muslim and Islamophobic, or anti-Islam rather, and Islamophobic, and that's so stupid to me.
What's your viewpoint on the word anti-theist? How do you stand on that?
Do you mean the colloquial form or its traditional form?
Just that you.
What's your opinion on anti-theism in general?
Are we using it? So the old way it was used was that anti-theism meant you oppose theism, that you fight against theism. Anti-theism now is being used to represent strong theism, as in atheism, as in I believe no God exists as an actual statement. Which one are we talking about?
I don't know. I guess I haven't really been exposed to that version of it. Like I think I've probably heard some apologists incorrectly use anti-theism that way. I mean, I think most of us here subscribe to the first definition of anti-theism, just
the one that was formed in 1834.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm an anti-theist, I think. Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you. It's
more harm than good. That's where I stand on
you think anti-theism does more harm than good?
No, religion.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly. Another one of my upcoming episodes is this idea of just being spiritual, or being like a culture, not cultural, but like a Christmas and Easter Christian. And my point is, Westboro Baptist Church exists because we exist in a world that says it is okay to believe things on faith. And when and not only that, when you actually resort to faith, we're not allowed to fight back or criticize the actual faith itself, maybe some of the actions, but we can't criticize the source material. So an individual who goes to a church that is non-denominational and, nothing, I love gays and stuff. My biggest thing is, do you have faith? Do you use faith as a mechanism for truth? And if they say yes, then you perpetuate the idea that that is reasonable and that it is acceptable to use faith as a pathway to truth. And that is what Westboro Baptist Church and hate groups and extremists also are using. And so for example, whenever a person tells me that mainstream Islam is different than ISIS, of course they are. Of course they're different. But they also perpetuate the idea that you can gain morals and insight from the Quran and the Hadith. And frankly, that's wrong. And so while they are different and their individual actions should be assessed differently, you still have to assess the idea that you are perpetuating faith ideas and perpetuating the idea that a Bible is a source for anything. Because if I agree with everybody who's religious that isn't in the Westboro Baptist Church, the Westboro Baptist Church sucks. Can you actually show me where in the Bible they're wrong?
Yeah, that's why those people, I think, piss me off most. The people who are in the most liberal churches out there. I mean, if you're going to skip 90% of the Bible and just pick on the parts that you think are useful in today's reality, then make up your mind, because now all you have done is take from reality, find in the Bible which collaborates, and that's a means to hold on to the Bible. And if you want to believe in a God, then at least you have to accept what is written in the Bible, I think. To me, it's a form of hypocrisy.
And it's hypocrisy at the least, or at best, maybe. At worst, it's also intellectual dishonesty, and it's lying to yourself. And it's, but I used to do it myself with the Bible and the Book of Mormon. And I was always in such awe and impressed with how God was so perfect to already agree with everything I thought beforehand, because I could figure out a way to fit the book into what I wanted the answers to be. And we wouldn't do that with anything else. We wouldn't do that with a science book. We wouldn't. How does evolution fit into the way, actually some people do, I was just going to say, fit into the way that I want to treat women like shit, but there are people who try to do things like that.
You know, be ignorant. It promotes ignorance.
Yeah. And so that's why I say to say that something is better because it's less hardcore is yes, it's better in the individual actions, but it's still perpetuating the worst of those things. And so at that point, I disagree.
Yeah, I equate it with someone who's coming up to you and telling you, well, I didn't rape her, I only grabbed her between the legs. So that's how it sounds to me. I mean,
right. Well, to me, it's more like when the murderers in prison, I think this is a Bill Maher example, the murderers in prison all get together and kill the child molester because they're the ones with morals. Like, okay, we can assess your, unfortunately, there's a lot of language failures too. So rape now means many more things than it used to, not than it used to, but rape means a lot of things in the same way that, this is a weird analogy, but in the same way love does. Both are words that are failing us in a lot of ways. And language is failing us in a lot of ways because we can't separate things out into degrees of seriousness, but also degrees of practicality and such. So love is the better example. I don't want to go on a thing about and get all the hate. No, the rape is, this kind of rape is bad, but this kind of rape isn't that bad. I'm never going to make that case. But for example, love, I can tell you that I love my grandmother. I love, my girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend right now, but I love my grandmother. I love my girlfriend, and I love meat and potato burritos. Does that mean I want to fuck all three of those things? Because that word love.
Yes.
That's what it means to me.
Does it traditionally mean I want to fuck all of those things? But yeah, unfortunately, we also have just terrible language failures that are not helping us in these regards. And so
just the theory comes to mind.
Or faith. When people go, you have faith too. How do you know your wife loves you? You don't have evidence. You just have faith. As Tim Minchin says, love without evidence is stalking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had actually, I believe it was White Engine recently. He was like, don't you have faith that Casey isn't gonna like cheat on you? And I'm like, I don't need faith to know that.
Have you ever heard the, hey, GE, have you ever heard of the flat earth argument that it comes up with a gyroscope as proves flat earth or something? I just came across it. I haven't looked at it yet.
A gyroscope?
Yeah, he's using a gyroscope in there. So I haven't really watched the video yet, but I have to look.
How is it that they keep coming up with these quote unquote scientific things that don't actually match, and they just ignore?
Their imaginations are great.
Go get a goddamn green laser pointer from Radio Shack, take it on a lake, and if you can
hit against that laser pointer in that video, that's the part that I've seen.
Oh my god!
The video,
so they've come up with a way that a laser pointer. Let me guess, the light isn't going straight, right?
I don't know. Yeah. They did it on a lake.
Well, okay. So they recently there was a documentary put out called Convex Earth, and so in that one of the things was lasers, and in it basically they showed lasers or they pointed lasers across a lake, and they were like, see, it's hitting the tops of the trees, therefore it's flat. The spherical Earth is debunked. Now, if anybody has any kind of liquid knowledge about science or anything like that, as soon as you hear this definitively disproves this, I mean, that's not a good way to do science at all.
Yeah.
John, did you also see the follow-up of that documentary?
Oh, no. There's a follow-up?
Someone, well, actually, it's a prequel because people dug up a previous documentary where all the scientists who collaborated in the Convex Earth documentary were talking to an alien in a bush called Bilou, and Bilou told them that the Earth was flat, and Bilou told them what experiments to do, and those were the experiments that ended up being done in the actual documentary they made.
Wow, I had no idea about that.
You haven't seen that?
Fuck.
No. You're going to have to shoot me a link of that or something, because like their evidence was horrible. I mean, like they basically did an electromagnetic waves over a body of water, and they did it in 3 different ways. And they totally disregard like atmospheric refraction and all this other stuff. At one particular point, they were doing like a internet connection from one side of the lake to another side, and they were like, it's 14 kilometers away, but on the screen it shows 1.4 kilometers away. So I mean, it's quite disingenuous, their entire documentary.
Here's okay.
Well, I put the link in the side chat for you. So if you want to watch the video and you can see Bilou is actually on screen. So
here's what I don't get. Imagine, if you will, a woman is pregnant and she appears very, very pregnant. All the evidence is that she's actually pregnant, and you can even see the things like kicking out of her. And a week before she gives birth, she announces that she's going to be giving birth in a week. And I come and I say, I'm predicting she's not giving birth to anything. There will be no baby from this woman, and it won't happen. In a week, and I put all of my intellectual honesty and perception on it. In a week, I'm going to look very stupid, and I've just hedged my bet on something that will be easily disproven. And so when I look at flat Earth, I see a bunch of people who are saying the Earth is definitely flat, when Elon Musk has us going into lower Earth atmosphere in the coming couple of years, or other companies, because space travel just on the planet is going to get faster by using orbit to get, you'll be able to get from New York to China in a half hour. They are hedging their bets for something they will be able to go look at in not very much time.
Well, yeah, not only that, but I mean, he had the SpaceX Falcon Heavy launch that where he put the Tesla into on a trajectory for Mars orbit. Yeah. And that's actually, I did a video on that, and that's actually one of my most popular videos. because I went into flat earth groups to see how they were explaining it away. And like, there were some ridiculous ones that were legitimately like a toss up on whether or not they're trolls. But then you had the more serious ones that were like, oh, it's CGI. Oh, it was filmed on a soundstage. And it's like, they show the pictures of like the Tesla Roadster, like in the launch bay or whatever. And so like, they were making up all of these different excuses, and it's just it's ridiculous, like the links that they'll go to maintain their ideas.
I mostly don't understand it, except for that I will put a lot of work into being lazy, and that's the closest thing I have to it. Like, I will work hard to do nothing, but that's the closest I have to working that hard to deny what is just an obvious fact. Flat earthers drive me up the fucking wall. I have an upcoming episode, and I'm collabing with an aerospace engineering student from the University of Texas in Austin to make it. Yeah, it hurts my brain that they exist this way. Has anyone been asking questions? Because I don't think I've been looking in a while. I just switched devices. My iPad was dying.
I haven't paid attention either.
I had a question for you in the chat.
Oh, did I miss it?
Well, I mean, I came in and then we all kind of started talking, so it kind of got lost. It's all right.
What was the question, man?
Well, I was wondering if, as a Mormon, did you believe, or do you know someone that believed that Cain is Bigfoot?
Yes. Okay, so I did believe it, and that comes from a book, and I'm trying to think of what it's called. It might be called A Marvelous Work. No, that's the fiction book. There's a book. So the reason why that happened is Joseph F. Smith or Joseph Fielding Smith, one of the Joseph Smiths who came after the first one, claims to have met Cain and that he was Bigfoot. And this is one of the prophets. And so not only did I believe it, I did know people who believed it too. My dad was like on the fence about it, but my dad was also the kind who would be like, when I first asked my dad how old the earth was, he showed me the Bible math. He's like, so 6,000 years. And then a few years later, I'm like, hey, so turns out that's impossible. The earth is 4.5 billion years old. And he's like, yeah, fine, whatever. But Adam lived 6,000 years ago. And then it's like, turns out that's impossible, because we know the origins of humans and where they came from. And it certainly wasn't Missouri. And he was like, well, no, Adam still 6,000 years ago, but we don't know what was really happening beforehand. Maybe there were humanoids that weren't part of God's plan. And it's like, well, that's just fucking cruel. So my dad never had a problem with the new science. My dad is skeptical everywhere besides accepting his religion, accepting Joseph Smith as the restoring power for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Otherwise, he's a very skeptical guy. And so I don't think he really believed it, but he acknowledged the story. I learned about it at a father-son camp, which ironically enough, I had to go with somebody else's dad because my dad didn't do shit like that. And so we were sitting around a campfire, and this old guy was telling us a bunch of 10 to 14-year-olds about it. And from then on, I was like, oh my God, Bigfoot does exist because it's Cain.
Yeah, I believe it was maybe Brigham Young, possibly, that also, like in his speeches and whatnot, he talked about how there were people living on the moon that lived for 1,000 years.
Joseph Smith, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really?
They were dressed like Quakers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Joseph. It could have been Brigham Young, but I thought it was Joseph Smith. So there's a list of false things that Joseph Smith said and did, and I was pretty sure one of them was the moon men who were 12 feet tall and dressed like Quakers.
Yeah, that's pretty false.
Yeah. The moon is made of oatmeal.
Yeah. That's why they went there, to liberate all that oatmeal.
Yep. Well, keep in mind, the Book of Mormon also says, this is also coming up in a future episode where I talk about the problems in the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon suggests that millions of people lived on the American continent between 400 BC and 600 AD. And no, 600 AD and 400 BC, and actually a little bit before that for Jaredite, but flipped. 600 BC, 400 AD. Millions of people, and they were refining steel before the rest of the world, and they had battles where millions of people in the battles died, and yet there is not a single steel sword anywhere to find it buried or anything. They were refining steel, but you can't find these millions of swords anywhere. You can't find these millions of dead people anywhere. So to go with Quakers on the moon just goes with that's a little silly, and maybe he was tripping on some drug of the day or whatever. But with things that are like objectively wrong, and they'll just go, well, they just haven't found them yet. And it's like, you don't realize how good they are at this point. And if at nothing else, he definitely made the claim that Native Americans are Jews. And we definitely know that's not the case. So it's just
there's DNA.
right. Well, and then they'll lie. So I had a teacher who in seminary that taught us that said, this video about DNA versus the Book of Mormon came out, and they said that it's proof. But did you know that they also recently found out? Okay. Did you know that they also recently found out that Native Americans and Jews both have this one genetic thing about them that no other people have, and it's the kind of thing that ties to your DNA and can change your DNA. That doesn't exist. It's not a real thing.
You have to be careful. I think they're coming for you.
And yeah, is that on my end? I'm sorry. And I was a true believer. I mean, I really believed it. And so when I didn't question when she said it, so I repeated that nonsense for fucking years, man. I'm not kidding. Like fucking years. I said ignorant, stupid stuff. Johnny, is it okay that we've been going for 2.5 hours? I don't want to.
I'm pretty informal, so it's not
cool.
that big a deal. Whenever you get sick of talking.
Okay, so a problem I have is I don't get sick of talking.
All right. Well, with them, then it's 8 hours that we can only go. So
yeah, we'll limit it to 8 hours. Where do you?
I have a hypothesis on the next conspiracy.
Oh, go ahead.
It's gonna be people with fear of drones or whatever. They're gonna figure out drones are gonna be, because I just have that feeling
that drones are what?
Drones will be the next conspiracy theory, that they're all being watched and Big Brother's.
Oh, I see.
That's just a little bit of a hypothesis.
So here's my thought process. I've worked in jobs where I've been exposed to some cybersecurity stuff. It's not stuff I can or will talk about, but there is a lot more going on than most people are aware. That said, it's not as bad as the people who are extreme make it out to be. That said, just assume always that anything you ever do with a camera or microphone, somebody could be listening or viewing, and show them your penis. That's my outlook on the whole matter.
Yeah.
You came, baby, to impress a chick. Helicopter dick. You can't go wrong. So I don't think there are drones overhead, but a few years back, I'm trying to remember who it was, but the director of the CIA, it might have been Petraeus, said, look, if we need to, we'll just spy on you through your dishwasher, which is a funny joke made by anybody besides the director of the CIA. And so I don't, that's not me actually saying they're spying on you through your dishwasher. That's also absurd. But people need to be more aware of your phone is a hackable device, and whether I'm not saying the government is, but somebody can hack your stuff. Now, that said, I keep going with that said. I also worked for Sprint for a while, and I had a lady come in who was convinced that very high level hacking was going on with her phone, and they were controlling like things in her house through the Wi-Fi and such. And it gets a little crazy. So don't be paranoid, but be alert and recognize that your devices are connected to the internet. They have cameras and microphones in them, which makes them hackable.
My dad was convinced that he was being watched by the television because the cathode ray tube could work both ways.
Okay, so here's something that's really funny to me. Growing up in England, my mother, they had a television, but the way things worked back then, when your TV was linked in, they didn't have an actual way to stop the signal going out. The signal went to everybody. And so they put out these commercials of these guys on trucks who were going around with radar guns, and they'd be like, aha, they're having dinner and watching Clancy. And my mother 100% believed that that technology existed, and people back then believed it too. But literally 2 years ago, my mother's telling me this, and I was like, oh, but you realize that doesn't work. They can't point at your antenna and see what the antenna is receiving. The signal's going out to everyone. That'd be like somebody, and she was like, no. This is I got to do my British mother's accent. No, they were watching, and they would go around the neighborhoods, and they would point in. And if you were watching the TV, and I remember my brother kept getting in trouble because he almost got us caught a number of times. And I was like, so he almost got you caught, but you guys didn't get caught. What you're saying is your brother got in trouble because he got caught watching TV that you guys weren't paying for. That's not the same. And so then we looked it up, and I showed my mom that it was all just the government who was in charge of all that stuff. It was just bullshit that they put out, that they're going around with a radar gun, seeing who's watching TV and not paying for it.
Actually, there is a little bit of truth in that, because if you have the old monitors, you could pick up the rays outside. So even when the curtains were closed, you could actually figure out what the people were watching inside. So there was I don't know exactly how it worked.
I'm very skeptical because
No.
If you're talking about a technology that people were actually using to stop people from stealing TV, this is something I already looked up and verified that it was bullshit.
No, so you don't get the exact picture, but you get enough of a signal to at least define what they are watching. And I'm not.
Well,
are you
I'll
open to the idea that you're wrong?
No, I have to look back into it because
Yeah.
it's actually you can do this at home with some simple tools. That's what I remember of it, but it's years back. So, and we don't have.
Well, I mean, I was just going to say that there's a very big distinction here between a government using a sophisticated device that was for that purpose of figuring out who's watching TV and they didn't pay or something like that, and like some kind of weird life hack that is a cool thing to do.
Right.
Like, I think that there's a big difference between those two.
It still sounds to me, okay, so this is just where I'm going with it. It sounds to me like this is still sourced from the same original thing, and then you found a website that tried to explain that how it actually was true because they maybe thought it was funny. Kind of like, you remember the glow-in-the-dark Mountain Dew that you could supposedly put hydrogen peroxide in Mountain Dew and one other thing, and you would shake it and would glow, and people were making YouTube videos proving it worked, but it didn't actually work. I feel like it's flagging is similar to that.
This was something I picked up because I used to have electronics as a hobby. Sure. And I had a magazine, and so in that it explained what you needed to
but I had
have a peek at what the neighbors were watching at.
I had Boy's Life, but let me tell you, those fucking vacuum cleaner hovercrafts never fucking worked, man.
Yeah, this was a serious magazine, so right. I can. But I'll have to. This is decades ago when we still had the old televisions with so the big cathode tubes in them.
Yeah, go. I'd be interesting to find out. To answer Nicole's question, my family would have to watch any of my shows to know I talk about them. She asked how my family feels about me talking about them on the show. So I purposely never use their names. I have 12 siblings, so you're never going to figure out which of my siblings I'm talking about. Usually when I say I have 12 siblings, at least one person goes, "Oh my God." But all right. Anyway, yeah, I don't see any other.
Well, you were Mormon, so
Yeah, it makes sense. Only one mom though.
fair enough.
Yeah, they weren't the polygamist kind of Mormons. Those aren't.
Okay, so is your family aware that you have a YouTube channel?
Yep. And they actively avoid it. The ones that are faithful. So I actually have one sibling who's just agreed to watch it, one sibling who secretly watches it, and then two siblings who are also now atheists who came out, who became atheists a couple years after I did. They watch it. And I think those are the only people interacting. So the one sibling who just agreed to watch it would be the biggest threat to, did you see, he said such and such, and then my family getting butthurt about it, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, maybe you've already answered this earlier in the broadcast, but so how long have you been an atheist?
So I can't peg down for you the day because of drugs, but somewhere between, I started having doubts as a teenager. I want to say by 22 for sure I was a total atheist. There are periods between 18 and 22 where I definitely thought I was, and then kind of went back and thought I was. But then the day where I finally went, no, Joseph Smith is a charlatan and made it up, I never really looked back. So one of my episodes is my quote unquote origin story. It's the why make a show about not believing, and it goes into greater detail. So I'm not saying you have to watch it. I'm just saying I don't want to prevent people from. I want to tell anyone else who's watching, if you really want to know my deep down origin story, dear Mr. Atheist on YouTube. Shameless plug.
No, I mean, you act like I'm not going to go and watch it like tomorrow while I'm bored at work.
I definitely didn't believe in Mormonism by 19, really. There were still some in and out, but by 19, I definitely knew I didn't believe because I had for sure decided I wasn't going on a mission. So I did not do that.
And another question that might have been answered in the couple of minutes that I missed at the beginning.
Yeah. It's weird for people to be so interested in me. It's but go ahead.
Well, this is basically what I do on YouTube, so to me that just comes natural.
It's very flat.
Okay, so what? How is contact with your family at the moment?
Right. So we have it's such a big family that it's hard to evaluate. With my parents, we talk. My dad and I bond over making fun of other people and enjoying the misery of others. That last part's a bit of a joke, but my dad has a pretty good sense of humor. And if we're not talking about anything religion related, we can get along. He's a moderate when it comes to politics, and we can get along with that. When I first left the church, things were very strained, and it's not entirely their fault. I went through a pretty bad identity crisis and basically was just a giant douche. It also happened right when my engagement ended, and because at that time I thought getting married and having a family was something I wanted for the future. Totally different now, but yeah. So I mean, I was a pretty terrible person to everybody. I was just very angry and was going through a lot of identity conflict after for several reasons at the same time. But we talk. There are things about the past and growing up that I will never be okay with, but we are capable of being cordial. There are certain ways that they can even be supportive, obviously not in regards to my atheist channel, but I've mentioned a couple times, I'm a digital artist. Any of the non-sexual stuff I create, they are nice about and they like. So it's not, I'm much luckier than a lot of people. The problem is there's also a sibling dynamic, and the sibling dynamic between myself and all of our siblings is not like anything anyone in any family has ever seen before. As not anyone, but everyone who gets exposed to our family and actually gets to see the dynamic between siblings is always very super confused. We are all very competitive. We're very cynical of each other's intentions. I had a brother call and compliment me on my channel and how good the stuff looked, and my natural reaction was, what is he about to try and ask me for? What is he trying to get out of me? So I'm capable of talking to most of them. I do have one sibling that I've disowned him, and I assume he's disowned me. But for the most part, compared to like when a Jehovah Witness leaves their religion, I've been somewhat lucky. But again, I can't emphasize enough that my family always has had a very strange dynamic, and some members of my family are more acquaintances that I share some of them DNA with. Half of my siblings are adopted, but basically a legal last name and in some cases blood with more than they are what people traditionally see as siblings. So that was a very strange and odd answer to your question, but it's not the worst it could be, but it's never been normal.
Well, it's better than some of the things that I've come across in the time that I'm on YouTube, because I'd love to talk mostly to theists, but the people who come to me are atheists or people who just became atheists and come to me for help because of the problems that's getting them into in their private life. Right. And I'm doing my best to help these people and to get them professional help, which I think is a lot better than what I could ever do. So I've come across some pretty horrific stories in those 5 years that I do this.
The hard part with leaving Mormonism isn't just there are no Christmas, Easter Mormons. You're either in or you're out. There are people who just don't go and maybe have some, but they aren't showing up ever. It also is everything. It is your social life. It is your work life. Mormonism permeates into literally all of it. So when you leave, you lose a lot. Now with me, I knew I was losing my faith. I knew I had questions. I knew, and I had the instincts to start building up other networks. And I had I was dating a non-Mormon, and I was working for people who weren't Mormon. But a lot of Mormons don't have that commodity. And when they leave, it's like they lose their whole life. So it's easy for Mormons to point to Mormons who, when they lost their faith, went, look how miserable their life became. That's because they weren't Mormon anymore. And in a way, that's technically correct, but not for the reasons they think. It's because Mormonism is hostile to anyone who loses their faith and will ruin their lives as best they can, because, it's just all you know. All your friends, your family, all that shit.
Well, I think I know a lot of about that, because I have a co-host, someone I met on Twitter, and we started talking, and that ended up in conversations in private hangouts. And so for her, it was not only the religion she left, but it was her whole identity. Her whole identity was shaped around the religion. Right. It was defined by the religion. So
it's everything. I mean it. Like those types. Yeah. John, it sounded like you were going to ask something.
Well, so recently I had an ex-Mormon on my channel. His name's Andrew. And I very much suggest watching those videos in your case. Sure. But one of the biggest hangups for him was actually like the closed door, like sexual discussions that needed to be had in the Mormon faith.
Yeah.
Was that a big hang up for you?
No, not for me as much. So here's the thing. My dad was very prominently respected in the church. Our bishops always looked up to him because he had either previously been in what's called stake presidencies or on high councils and stuff. So they pretty much counted on my dad to be keeping track of me. And so when I went into interviews, my own interviews were pretty mellow. They'd still ask are you masturbating? But if I said no, they didn't push me on it, because of our familial status. So that actually wasn't one of the big hangups. but it's one of the things I'm the most angry about now. And by the way, I should have mentioned earlier, you asked me how long ago I left, and I told you basically around 19 or 20 I was done, and by 22 I was out. But that doesn't tell you anything unless you know I'm 28 years old. So that helps. That helps a little. So it's something okay. So one thing I recently found out, my dad loved this stake president we had in Tennessee. I won't use the guy's name. I don't want to cause his family any more pain and trouble than he's already going through right now. But what we found out was this guy that my dad really, really looked up to had a son. And my dad thought the way this guy raised kids was the perfect way. The way he was a stake president was the perfect way. The way he was a Mormon was the perfect way. And it turns out this person who's doing everything correct raised a rapist, because his oldest son has been raping sister missionaries as their mission president in a different state. And so my dad's theory of this perfect father, perfect patriarch, perfect person to model one's life after didn't do any better a job at raising kids than he did. And in fact, none of my siblings, as far as I know, are rapists. So in fact, did a worse job. So what's crazy is I've already been aware of and hearing about these people who are these sexual abuse cases that are coming to light now. I don't know if it's going to be as crazy and severe as like when the Catholic Church had that happen, especially since Mormonism is significantly smaller, but it's turning out that this is happening in more and more places. And while I'm trying to be skeptical of how big and on what scale it was, the fact that I immediately found out a person so closely connected in my family in that authority position had this problem, and this referring to the mission president son, not the stake president father, makes me feel like it probably is crazy common in the church. So it is a major hang up for me now. And it is why it's a major motivator for why the number one person I'm targeting is a skeptical Mormon. And I would love to take out every Mormon I can, especially any that I converted before I left to Mormonism, which unfortunately there's still a few. And so, yeah, it is probably one of the biggest reasons why Mormonism is still on my radar so much, because I figured out Mormonism wasn't true because I have a skeptical mind, and I figured it out when I was trying to prove it was true and appeal to my skeptical mind. All these terrible things about the church I didn't find out until later. What a fucking monster Brigham Young was. What a fucking monster Joseph Smith was. What a liar Oliver Cowdery was. All these people that were my heroes growing up. And then the fact that it looks like anytime you give a person religious authority, they tend to become rapey.
I have a question for you. Oh, sorry, John.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that it's the power aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of those types are attracted to the power aspect and the ability to control or exert that power over other people.
Power and a penis, not a good combo. You have to really keep those in check. Yeah, that's something that I'm glad to, as I'm trying to pick up, become a type of public figure. I'm glad I'm doing it after Me Too has become mainstream. And I'm not saying I would have become, but one thing I wonder about it, especially at night, because I think about all kinds of weird things, is if I were to be greeted with the level of success that would be amazing, would I also fail? Would I abuse that power aspect? Because look at fucking ugly motherfuckers like Lawrence Krauss did. Do I don't know. That's a hard. I'm glad we're living in a time that's evolving and we're finding out that these things are systematic so that we can prevent being seduced by them ourselves. Anyway, somebody else had a question.
I think you're right there on the point on it, because I think we're beginning to understand it more. It is. We're understanding more about our
sunlight, man. Sunlight's the best disinfectant.
Yeah.
It is. I'm Mole, by the way, Mr. Atheist. And I was going to ask you, in looking back at Mormonism now, what are some of the weirder doctrines or rituals that a non-Mormon wouldn't know about?
So first of all, I did not do my endowments in the temple, so I can't tell you firsthand, even though I've learned secondhand. I never actually went through the temple endowment ceremony. So truly the craziest part, where you dress up as a baker and somebody gropes you through a curtain, I didn't do that part. And the stupid learning the handshakes to get into heaven, that's something I skipped. There's a few things. There's a thing called patriarchal blessings, which is actually another thing I never did, but I elected not to do. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But a patriarchal blessing is first this guy supposedly fasts and shit, and then he puts his hands on your head, and then he gives you a psychic reading essentially for your life, a lifetime horoscope. And by that, I literally mean tells you things about your future, things that will happen, but obviously just like any good cold reader, he will do it in very broad terms so that they can be true, but they will feel very specific. It is very traditional bullshit horoscope techniques. He will also tell you which family, which tribe of Israel you either now belong to, or if he's done his if genealogical research has already shown you what it is, he'll just give you the one that you already had. But it is literal psychic readings, and you only get one for your lifetime. Some people, I think, have gotten a second after decades with approval. That one is pretty weird to me, because Mormons try to stay away now from the wooey stuff besides the temple, because the origins of the church are surrounded by Joseph Smith's family was extremely superstitious, believed in witchcraft. He used seer stones. So that one strikes out as pretty weird. Baptisms for the dead, pretty weird. That one I did participate in. I mean, there's never been good reasoning for why they don't drink alcohol or caffeine, but it's just a commandment. Weird.
How much do I have to pay to be a part of the tribe of Dan? I so want to be part of the tribe of Dan. That would be cool.
If you get in the tribe of Aaron, supposedly you're allowed to just walk in and become bishop of any ward you want. By blood.
What the hell? I mean, I want that kind of fucking power right there. You walk in and then all of a sudden it's like bishop powers activate.
So when you return 12, you get what's called the Aaronic priesthood. Aaronic, not ironic, though. Both fit. Yeah, and you have that until you become an elder, and then you get the Melchizedek. And anybody who has the blood of Aaron gets to, because technically the bishop is like the head Aaronic priest, essentially, can just become bishop of anywhere. God lives on a planet in the universe called Kolob. He's a physical man with bones and blood and shit. Jesus is a separate physical person, not the same person, even though Joseph Smith actually taught the opposite, and that has changed. It changed for Joseph Smith and then later. Satan, it was one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Mormons believe in a pre-existence, that we were all as angels and spirits beforehand, before we were born. Then when we were born, our memories are wiped so that we can have our true tests of faith. You choose your families before you're born, which brings a lot of things into question, like adoption.
Before I was born, I'm just saying.
Well, and I've got so what I want to know is, I have siblings whose biological parents were meth heads. So and now they've been sealed to my parents. So my parents chose some other kids from some other parents, but to line that up, it means that those parents had to be meth heads.
Right.
So a lot of things where it's like, wow, they really got fucked over so you could have your giant ass selfish family.
Right.
I mean, Kolob is weird in and of itself. That it's a planet in our actual universe. Yeah. And they had
I'm having all kinds of visions now, because maybe it's because he's one of my heroes, but when you said the tribe of Aaron, I'm now visualizing Aaron Ra as having tribe and having magic.
He's Aaron Ra.
How do they trace lineage?
So with the patriarchy, if you haven't had, with the patriarchal blessings, they just tell you, and pretty much everybody becomes one of these two tribes. You're very rarely in one of the lost tribes, if ever. So it's just dictated to you. it's the same thing with, so here's another interesting thing that even Mormons don't know. When you go through the temple and you get your endowments, you're giving your heavenly name and your spiritual name. And Mormons believe that you're getting the name that basically you had before you were born in the pre-existence and your name to come. What's really interesting that they don't know is every day the people who work at the temples, all of them receive a memo, and everybody who goes through the temple that day gets the same name. Boy, what a coincidence that everyone who happened to have all been named Michael comes through the temple on Michael Day.
It's God's will. It's gotta be what it is. It's God's will.
And also, if you go through and you get your endowments with your wife, you are allowed to know your wife's heavenly name. She is not allowed to know yours. Yeah. The church has a lot of really
that doesn't surprise me, really. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say KC was like fuckers.
Yeah. As far as older doctrine goes, a lot of people don't know that polygyny was also a part, not just polygamy, that women were married to multiple men, including Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith took people's wives. Joseph Smith also married a 14-year-old girl and sexually procreated with her. Not that you can asexually procreate. He procreated with her, and she later in her not testimony but written, whatever you call it, basically told the person that was recording everything that she didn't really want to marry Joseph. And when she resisted, Joseph said that her family's eternal salvation was dependent on it. And if they did, if she did marry him, they would all get exaltation, which in the Mormon religion is getting to the state of being a god yourself. But if she didn't, they could see punishment and consequences. So he very much blackmailed he blackmailed his way into becoming a pedophile. I talked about putting that much work into being lazy. Who's going to put that much work into becoming a pedophile? Fuck.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question. Now, when Joseph Smith met the angel Moroni, there were 2 people with him that were supposed to eyewitness, correct?
No.
No, he was by himself?
Okay, so it depends on what time you're talking about. When he meets the angel Moroni to get the Book of Mormon, that all is happening in private in his room. When he meets Mosiah, who supposedly restores, I believe it was the Melchizedek priesthood. I'm getting things a little foggy because it's been a while. That he does with Oliver Cowdery and I think one of his brothers, supposedly. But one thing you have to keep in mind, I can't speak to the brother, but Oliver Cowdery, this I talk about in the Book of Mormon episode. Oliver Cowdery went to a church with a pastor who wrote a book called, not on the Hebrews, but regarding the Hebrews or something like that. I say it correctly in the video about it. And that book claimed that Lamanites, or that not Lamanites, that Native Americans were ancient Jews. There's no scientific or anthropological reason, there's no historical reasons to believe this. This guy becomes friends with Joseph Smith, and Joseph Smith happens to come up with an entire book that makes that claim. So there's a lot of reasons besides that to believe that Oliver Cowdery and Joseph Smith very much to each other were open about this all being a made-up scam. His brother Hiram, I think, probably was in that area too, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. Like, were they just like sycophants of Joseph Smith, or like were they in on the, were they in on the whole, the whole.
What you may be referring to are what are called the witnesses, and these were the people that supposedly saw the golden plates, and then it comes out later that none of them physically laid eyes on them, and the testimony that they were asked to sign was written by Joseph, was not written by them.
Oh, okay, that might be what I'm talking about, and because one of them ended up becoming, I don't know what you call it when you leave the Mormon faith, backslid, but he became backslid, but he never recanted his recanted his tell.
That was Oliver Cowdery.
Okay.
The guy who was definitely in on the scam.
Oh, okay.
Because if it isn't true, he would have had to admit he had bamboozled all these people.
That makes more sense too. If he was in on the scam, why he wouldn't recant?
Keep in mind,
lie,
Keep in mind, and Mormons will talk about this as for ways that it makes the church extra true, which makes no fucking sense. His main wife, Emma, and his son don't stick with the church after his death and try to organize their own, because Joseph had said, and then he took on the mantle, that his son would follow in his footsteps as prophet. And so an entire other religion called now the Community of Christ is built off of that. It used to be called the Reformed Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But even his own family didn't stick with his original version of the religion, or at least the version of the religion that's mainstream now. Lots of people left. Lots of people recanted. Lots of people, if recanted is enough to say that I didn't write that, and no, actually I didn't physically lay eyes on the plates. One guy said he did lay his spiritual eye on the plates. Fucking idiot.
What if that's like his third eye, like a chakra kind of thing?
Yeah. I am baffled that atheists think a random chaotic universe with no E could via the human brain engineer its own self-awareness and near self-comprehension. You have already gotten this so wrong. Maybe you're speaking ironically, but engineering implies intent, and there is no intent in the biological formation of human life. So fuck you. Just kidding. You're fine. Paul Willis Org wrote that. Also, I'm going to guess that you don't know what chaos means to an astrophysicist, because he says, I'm telling you, there is no way there isn't a guiding process in the universe. Self-awareness cannot rise from chaos. Yeah, I'm going to guess you don't even know what chaos actually means to an astrophysicist. You're trying to quote the second law of thermodynamics. I'm going to guess you don't know what that means either. And also prove it. Prove it can't happen, because you know what isn't evidence? I'm telling you. Somebody's saying he's a troll. So
I know a guy named Chaosism.
That's awesome. Paul, I don't care if you're a troll or not. I enjoy it. Keep them coming, buddy.
It's still fun.
Self-awareness cannot rise from first of all, that implies that we know what self-awareness and consciousness is. So fuck you on that one too. I'm not actually saying fuck you if you're actually an atheist just trolling. I'm saying fuck you to the people who legitimately make that argument frequently.
There you go.
Wonder Lady, don't my statements intrigue you?
Why would they?
Paul, can you just definitively, do any of you know who this fucker is?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, never seen him.
I want to know if he's for real, because he may have just YouTubed the word atheist, and since my name is Mr. Atheist, he could have put in the search bar. He could have found this video and legitimately be a theist. So, Paul, are you real? Because if you're for real, and are you fine? Because I give a fine bitch a call.
Paul.
Wonder Lady says he's seen him before. Well, but when you saw him before, was he making the same points? Did he ever admit to being a troll, or was, because these are legitimate points people make, not legitimate as in correct, but
troll or not.
What is the magical unknown arrangement of matter that makes it aware of itself? Again,
magical.
Yeah. First of all, nothing. We're never going to say anything is magical. That's Josh Fierstein. So you believe that mysteriously and magically, curiously and magically? What?
Well, I could answer that question for him, because the magical unknown arrangement of matter that makes it aware of itself is what we usually just call a brain.
Right. It's largely carbon, a lot of fat in it.
Yeah. There's nothing magical to it. There's a lot of stuff we still don't know, and there's a lot of.
I'm reminded of the psychic.
I met a monkey that was self-aware too. So
remember the psychic battle in South Park? That's what I'm reminded of. Oh man, this channel has no sub videos but love woo video. Yeah, I think he might be. I think he could be a real theist. I don't want to ignore him. I gotta avoid the woo. There was electric woo long before quantum woo. Okay. Make a point that actually isn't you saying essentially trust me, and I'll respond to that. Anybody else got anything for me? Well,
I have a question. Since I avidly follow Kent Hovind on everything that he puts out, he frequently piles up on the Mormons.
Okay.
There's a question that I would like to know, and that's about the spirit babies. Good spirit babies get white-skinned bodies, and bad spirit babies get black-skinned bodies. So
Yeah.
enlighten us. Is that actually true, or isn't it?
So it's not anything you're going to hear nowadays, and because there's so much mucked up in history, it's hard to say what for sure was definitively said. But it seems to be the case that skin color is a curse in Mormonism, and while they won't acknowledge that now, what's my dog doing? Skin color used to be a curse more widely, and it was accepted that black people were the descendants of Cain. Native Americans are dark because they are cursed Lamanites. In regards to the spirit babies, I would go out on a limb and say that everybody before 1980 believed that there was no color in heaven. However, they're not going to admit to that now. So yeah, probably. Now here's the babies thing is weird because technically in the Mormon church, if you die before you are 8 years old, supposedly you just get to skip the whole process and you immediately get exaltation. You get the highest form of heaven. You'll become a god, all of that shit. You don't have to go through any of the tests that follow, which is an interesting thing to believe anyway, because then if you love your children, isn't the greatest thing you could do for them to murder them before they turn 8 years old? Whatever. Wait, magic underwear. Wait, what did Piggle say that we took away his thing? Somebody retract. Oh, he might have retracted his own. Piggle, the link should be in the description.
Yeah, I'll send it to him. I was gonna get in here, so.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, did I adequately answer your question? Yes, they believe in color as curses, but they won't admit that black people become white people, and probably most of them mainstream don't believe it now. But it is certainly a historical thing for them.
Okay.
People are asking magic underwear. So magic underwear is something you get after your endowments. It's supposed to be a constant reminder of your covenants. Some people will refer to it. It's also so comforting. It's like wearing a hug all the time.
Well, I just found out you can buy that crap now, so I'm gonna get a pair of that. I got it.
It's not. You're gonna get it, and you're gonna be terribly bored. You're gonna be like,
I'm not gonna have visions and stuff.
It's like being enveloped in God's love.
Yeah, and then they lie about it. They'll say things like, "People."
I thought that's how you got the looking glass thing to work, but you got to wear the underwear while you're looking through it. That's the problem.
The funny stories you'll hear about it. Magic underwear stories have garments, they call them, but temple garments. They get crazy. So one of the funnier ones is like, there was a guy and he was in a plane crash and his body was burned, but the only place that wasn't burned was where his temple garments were touching. Oh, what a proof of God in the garment. And you're just like, if this is a spiritual blessing, shouldn't the garments have like saved his life instead of something stupid besides keeping his pubes unsinged?
Oh, there's
now, and Johnny, I have to ask you this question because a while back I talked to a Mormon and he linked me to a website, and when I got there, and that this was about the garments and the sacred clothing, you need a membership verification, and part of that is you need to provide evidence how big your penis is. I think that's what I took away from it, because I have it in front of me right here. To protect the sacred nature of garments and ceremonial clothing, those purchasing them must be endowed members of the church. Garment purchases require that you have an LDS account.
That's not what that means.
So every member's got to have a big cock.
Maybe dick.
Maybe it's because I'm Dutch, or maybe it's because I just have a dirty mind, because a teacher once told me that's the only thing I remember from him. A dirty mind is a joy forever, and that's something I strive to live by as long as I live. But yeah, it does say endowed members.
Yeah. So just so you know, that refers to having received your endowments, which is the temple ceremony you get to around 18 years old. But that was very funny.
Yeah. It also means that if you have received that, you are well endowed anyway.
I guess we know why I never got my endowment. I got one of them baby penises, but hey, listen, ladies, if any of you like to scissor.
There you go, Pickle Swiggle. There's a link.
What's so magical about time that... Okay, hang on. We got Paul back. I do know the Big Bang had extremely low entropy. Okay. Self-awareness is all we know. I think, therefore I am. I could be a brain in a vat. What's so magical about time that it can turn unconscious matter into conscious matter? Again, nobody thinks anything magical happened. You, however, apparently, if you are not a troll, okay, unknown. So you want me to answer? You just said magical means unknown. You want me to answer what is unknown? That would make it not unknown. But
I think what he's struggling with
he's actually making me tempted to change the title of the stream to "Come on, Flat Earthers, let's bring it on."
Yeah.
And I don't think time is the only variable either.
Right. So here's the thing. Life, you have decided, is more impressive than non-life, which certainly out of self-preservation you should feel that way. However, when you look at it, can you point to anything our brains, bodies, or anything does that isn't a function of matter interaction, of chemistry, there's nothing that exciting about it. It is electricity. It's basic things. Yes, it's when you get down to the most basic building blocks, it's very simple. And so you're deciding that life and non-life are so radically different that the difference has to be magical. They are different, but not magically so.
No. And I think his biggest problem is he refers to the unknown, but that's probably what he doesn't know. And for what I've seen from him in the chat, he doesn't seem to know a lot.
Right.
So
the only gap we currently have in regards to this is the actual abiogenesis. And we have lots of working things that it could be, but we've only been doing good science. We've only been really doing science for 200 years, good science for like 50. So after 11.8 billion years, 13.8 billion years, I'm sorry that we haven't figured out all 13.8 billion of them in the last 60.
Yeah. And I need to note that as far as we know now, and as far as science, the evidence has led us, life is nothing more than a chemical reaction.
Right. So there's no reason to believe anything besides that.
Yeah. To things that are alive, it might be precious, but it is actually not that big of a deal. It's just a chemical reaction.
Right. The difference between life and non-life is a molecule's ability to self-replicate itself. And at its most basic forms, it's exciting because it's rare. As far as we know, it's rare. It actually could be happening all the time, and we don't realize it because existing life eats the new life before it can evolve. But the difference between life and non-life is the ability to... And actually, it technically isn't the ability to self-replicate. That would be another reason. But it is the ability to independently... I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, because I just ruined the whole thing by saying it's... What you need for our life are replicating molecules. And they don't have to start as DNA. They can be much simpler. They can be simpler than RNA. They can, as long as they can reproduce, and whatever mechanisms that replicates them has the ability to change via errors because it doesn't reproduce perfectly, that is all you need for evolution. My questions are legit. It's one of the reasons scientific panpsychism is taking off like a rocket.
Isn't it panpsychism where they think all matter has consciousness?
Probably, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
There is no reason to believe that. Both Mormonism and Islam are ideological parasites on thousands-year-old religions. So this is, again, like the Oh, but they're the crazy ones. Yes,
Right.
they are parasites on larger parasites.
Right. And what about Christianity being a parasite on, say, Hinduism that's fucking 3,000 years older than Christianity? Or
Yeah.
what do you think of that?
Religion is a parasite. Whatever anybody attaches to. Yeah, Beach Price says Deepak stuff, huh? Yeah, exactly. You and Chopra, man. Just kill yourself and then tell us if you still think.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Let me know if consciousness survives your death. That's simple enough, man. But every test we've ever done has suggested it does not. And then you even find out little people like that little kid that went to heaven and came back with all this knowledge that he didn't realize. And then years after making millions off of a book deal, admits that he made the whole goddamn thing up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ben Sedillo made a great point. He said flat earthers are proof that not all matter has consciousness.
Certainly not intelligence. Can you imagine if aliens came to us? Neil deGrasse Tyson makes this point. Aliens come down and they're like, are we going to share our greatest technologies with the intelligent life here? And then they come down and like, what intelligent life? Some people think this planet is flat.
Right.
So we just saw John. You wanted to head out?
Yeah, I gotta go. I'm falling asleep at my keyboard.
All right, John.
Here, but
Yeah, we should probably conclude this.
John,
I gotta get more stuff.
John,
Yeah.
John, you're a wimp. It's 5:30 a.m. here.
hey, look, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and I went to bed at like 2 a.m. last night. So,
Gotta make the
Hey
donut.
John, I'm gonna reply to your email with what is your preferred contact method? Do you want my phone number? Do you want my Facebook? What do you want?
To be honest,
Oh, it doesn't matter.
KC.
I use
What-
Facebook Messenger the most.
well, yeah, I mean, whatever you're comfortable giving me, man. It'll be fine. We can work it out.
I will give you everything.
Oh, okay.
Suddenly we're in Tinder.
But don't worry, I don't have my endowments.
No.
I don't have my endowment, so
All right,
giving
we're
you
shutting this
everything
down.
up. Cool. I'll finish sending that to you after we close out the stream. But it was really good meeting you, John. I look forward to doing more with you, man.
Yeah, thanks for
Oh
stopping
yeah,
by.
yeah, definitely. I can't wait to work with you, man. But I'm gonna go, and I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
Thanks for dropping by, John.
Oh yeah, no
Say-
problem. I
say-
love this.
Also, let's
Say
all
hi-
acknowledge that because this stream has gone for 3.5 hours, only the people who watched this live will have ever seen it. People are gonna fucking go to the channel and be like, 3.5 hours? What the fuck is this? A
I'm
religion?
gonna have to break it in half, I think.
Yeah, cut it up.
Right.
Oh man. And there's no particular part that's like significantly better than the rest. So good luck clipping it out and shit, man.
Yeah, I'll just separate it into 3 parts, and that's good enough.
It's-
Right
it's
down the
just
middle. Right,
all
we're
straight across
33.33.
Oh man. No, this was fun. Does anybody have any questions before we go? Let's get these out. Let's finish. Paul Willis org. I'm gonna start going live on my channel. So if you want to sub to my channel, Mr. Atheist, you can come in and I'll fight you there. But we're at the end, and so I'm not gonna keep fighting I just want you to know I don't hate you and I respect you as a human being. I do not respect those really stupid things you believe. And that's the baseline when you come in.
And I'd like to add that nothing has atheists by the balls. The only thing you can have us by the balls is when you come up with some good evidence of a god, and you can pick whatever god you want to throw in there.
Or you could literally grab me by the balls, and then you would have me by the balls. But
Literally.
Yeah. See, we're back on Tinder again.
Logic.
Why can't I get through an hour of anything without bringing up my genitals? I don't get it.
Because you were told about endowments your whole life, man. You can't help it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. How do you?
Concealed in magic underwear.
Do you guys want to? If Johnny already knows how to get a hold of me. If you other guys want to shoot me an email at dearmratheist@gmail.com. I'm just going to reply with the exact same email I'm sending
Okay,
to John right now.
Stuff on the stream when it's over or whatever. We'll get it done.
Yeah, for sure. I was just saying, before I lost you. Oh yeah, we can end the stream and finish the hangout privately. We're gonna say the really good stuff, and one of us,
I'm gonna bring out the bourbon now.
After the stream is over, one of us will say the N-word. Who's it gonna be?
Nautical?
Well, thank you everybody for coming to the Heathen Drive-By. I know it was a long show. I'm like I said, I might split it up into a couple parts, but yeah, thank you everybody in the chat. It was great, and thank you, dear Mr. Atheist, and Peter, and Godless Engineer, and well, I forgot a couple people already.
Anybody on them?
And Holy Mole, yeah, you too.
Being totally honest,
anytime, man.
Go ahead.
Being totally honest, going into this, I didn't know like how exciting it was going to be. So I almost was going to be like, "Hey man, I only have like an hour," and here we've gone 3.5, and it was a blast.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, I enjoyed myself.
Take care, everybody.